For Cotuit is Jason Billis, who's already faced this Bourne Braves team. What are you expecting from him tonight?
I'm expecting him to find his spots much more than he did in Game 1. Pitched 4 1/3, only gave up 2 runs in the first one, but he did struggle. He wasn't finding his spots. His command wasn't great. He was throwing a lot of balls to start the game. So I think that coming out tonight, I think it'll be stronger. I think his velocity will be a little higher, getting some action in the past week. And I think we can just see a better all-around performance. He'll probably see 5 or 6 of the same hitters that he saw in the first game, but I would not expect the same lineup, so a lot of new bats might find him.
Thank you, Matt. Now let's swing it down to Kara Burnett, who's field side with head coach Mike Roberts.
Thanks, Sean. So, Coach, Bourne has had the last 2 days off, whereas Cotuit has played 3 games in the last 2 days. How is this affecting preparations to go into the game today?
No, that's advantage us. And, you play. Baseball's a game meant to play every day. And, they may come out and score 10 runs the first inning, but it's meant to play every day, and so we're fine. Our pitching rotation's set up, so we're in good shape.
Okay. Speaking of the pitching rotation, we have Jason Billis on the mound today. What are you expecting out of him as he is going up a lineup that he's got to see last week?
Yeah, well, again, everybody's first outing, I'm kind of watching to see. Now, Jason was here last year, so I knew a little bit about him. And, I think he can vary his pitches a little bit better than he did at Bourne last week, stay ahead of the count. And again, this time of year in the Cape League, Coach Harvey Shapiro may send a lineup over today that's totally different than it was last Wednesday when we opened up. So it doesn't really mean he's going to be he may face 4 or 5, but I doubt he'll face 9 of the same hitters.
And as we did get the 5-3 win over Bourne, what do you expect out of your offense tonight?
Well, we're practicing daily. We had 4 hitters yesterday that worked, and I thought we had a little progress last night. We had 4 more that worked today. It just, again, every day is a work in progress as far as helping them even out their swing, be more consistent. We certainly can improve in moving the ball around the field from top to bottom, and that's what I'm looking for, is that 1 through 9 make contact a little bit better, get the ball in the outfield a little bit more, and I think we will. We have the ability, but again, pitching up here is good, and these guys have not faced day after day after day this kind of pitching coming out of the bullpen, and they have to learn to make adjustments.
All right, well, thank you, and good luck to you today, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. First pitch set for 5 p.m. Hope to see you here at Lowell Park.
On the heels of their first loss of the season and pitted against a foe who has not played baseball in 3 days, the Cotuit Kettleers are back at home here at Lowell Park, and Cotuit Kettleers baseball is live on the air. It's Cotuit Kettleers pregame show, rather, on the Cotuit Kettleers video network. Back on the video network this evening, given that we are back at home. Matt Rigby manning the post with you here in advance of our first pitch from Lowell Park. I'll be joined momentarily alongside my broadcast partner, Will Greer. Kettleers come into tonight's game against the Bourne Braves with a record of 4-1. That's 2 games clear of the Braves and 2 games clear of the closest team in the Cape League's Western Division, which is the Bourne Braves. The Kettleers enjoying their nice 4-0 start, but they looked a little bit rocky in Chatham last night. Seth Schumann pitched very well in the start, but the bullpen was quite leaky at Veterans Field. Chatham batted around, actually brought 10 men to the plate in the home half of the 6th, in which they scored 6 runs. Chatham scored 8 runs altogether last night at Veterans Field, and they doubled up the Kettleers by a score of 8-4. The good news, Cotuit hasn't lost at home so far this year. They are 3-0, and they are 2-0 inside of the division with an opening night victory against these very Bourne Braves on the road at Doran Park, and also with a home opening night victory over Falmouth last Thursday, 10-0. Cotuit took both legs of a doubleheader here against Brewster on Father's Day a couple days ago on Sunday. And now the Kettleers sending Jason Billis to the mound for the second time this season as they begin their second turn through the starting rotation. Will look to get back in the win column and move to 5-1. I mentioned that the Bourne Braves haven't played baseball in a couple of days. It's because yesterday was a scheduled off day for the Bourne Braves, and they were not going to give up that off day because there was a charity golf tournament that the Braves had planned quite a while ago that took place with a feature guest, Roger Clemens, in the house. Don't know exactly where that golf tournament took place on the Cape. Maybe we'll have more on that as the broadcast goes on. But anyway, because Cody Clemens was supposed to be a Bourne Brave, his father came up, and even though Cody Clemens has gone home with arm soreness, his father was a good sport, still participated, and Bourne had a nice off day yesterday. The Braves didn't get either of their doubleheader games in on Father's Day because the field at Doran Park, much like many of the fields across the Cape, namely McKeon Park in Hyannis and Stony Brook Field in Brewster, was a little bit underwater on Sunday. First game of that doubleheader at Doran Park was scheduled for 4 p.m. Second game was scheduled for 7 p.m. They had 2 days to get a hold of the swamp-like conditions, or get the reins on the swamp-like conditions, I guess would be a better way to put it, at Doran Park. And they had the full day on Sunday, but they still couldn't quite get the field in tip-top playing shape. And so Bourne, with a healthy pitching staff as opposed to or a well-rested pitching staff, as opposed to Cotuit's pitching staff, which is quite taxed, will look to defeat the Kettleers and exact some opening night revenge, I suppose, here tonight at Lowell Park. We'll step aside for the first time, and then Will Greer will have your starting pitching matchups, a little bit more analysis, and eventually lineups and first pitch on the Cotuit Kettleers pregame show on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. The field is clear, as you can see on your screen. Lines are painted a beautiful white. Bases are a pristine white as ivory, I suppose, Will Greer. And Lowell Park is just about set to play host to the Cotuit Kettleers and the Bourne Braves here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon in Cotuit. We've had some rough weather across the Cape for about 5 or 6 days now. It's been very moist. little bit of rain in the air at times. It's been very, very humid, but it looks as though we've at least begun to turn the corner, I suppose, as today has been much better, and tomorrow and Thursday look pretty good as well. Bourne Braves, as I mentioned, have not played in a couple of days. They are 2 games behind Cotuit in the Western Division. Hyannis actually has the second most points in the Western Division, but they've played more games than Bourne, and so winning percentage-wise, Bourne is in second place, trailing the Cotuit Kettleers.
Yeah, Matt, they sure are. They come in, as you said, with all of their statistics a little bit, watered down. I mean, you really can't glean too much from Bourne's first 3 games of the season. Not that you can glean that much more from Cotuit's first 5 games, but still, we're working with small sample sizes, and we can glean that Ronnie Rossamondo, the starter for Bourne, as well as Jason Billis, the starter for Cotuit, both coming back for their second summers on Cape Cod. A couple experienced guys. Billis more experienced than Rossamondo because the 6'5", 225-pound righty out of Yukon only started 2 games a season ago for Harvey Shapiro, but he'll get the ball today in game number 4 of the Bourne Braves summer. And last season, I'm going to correct this. He started 13 games, not 2. He started 2 in the playoffs, 13 regular season games for Rossamondo, a 4-2 record, a 2.41 earned run average, and 27 strikeouts in 22 1/3 innings pitched. A high strikeout guy as Rossamondo has a high velocity fastball, good breaking ball, good changeup as well. He was a guy that was a quality midweek starter this season for Jim Penders, the head coach for Yukon baseball. Guy that started pretty much every Tuesday and Wednesday and had good numbers at Yukon, but you'd be foolish to overlook the competition that Rossamondo was facing, and that's because Yukon, obviously in the Northeast, facing a lot of NEC kind of schools, not to take anything away from the Quinnipiacs, the Bryants of the world, but he was going up against some not-so-great lineups and pitching well, we should add. Guy that can top out right around 94, 95 miles an hour, and we'll see Rossamondo making his first start of the summer in year number 2 on Cape Cod today for Bourne. On the other side for the Cotuit Kettleers, Jason Billis, the Coastal Carolina University Chanticleer, making his second start of the summer, and interestingly enough, his second start against Bourne. Billis was the opening night guy last Wednesday night at Doran Park. In that ballgame, he went 4 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 2 runs, both earned, 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks for Jason Billis. Both of those walks, lead-off walks in the first and second innings. And Billis really struggled with his command all night in that one at Doran Park. In fact, out of the 17 batters he faced, Billis started 12 of those 17 with ball 1. He started 5 of those 17 in a 2-0 count. 27 balls, 38 strikes thrown from Jason Billis last Wednesday night. The good for Jason Billis, he induced 3 double plays in 4 innings pitched. That's really the big reason why he only allowed 2 earned runs in those 4 1/3 innings pitched. But I'm sure that the Coastal Carolina University Chanticleer will be wanting to improve his command, improve his pitching performance in start number 2 of the summer. Billis started 4 games last summer for Mike Roberts, a 5.52 earned run average, 14 walks in 14 2/3 innings pitched. He now has 2 walks in his first 4 1/3 of this summer. We talked about it with Luke Schilling last night. We talked about it with a number of Cotuit pitchers so far this summer, guys that are really, really good, that you have to be really good to get up to Cape Cod, but the command can be an issue at times. And hopefully for Billis and for the entire Cotuit Kettleers team, Billis has that A-plus command today in start number 2 of the summer. We'll take a quick break here on the pregame show. We'll be back with more information in anticipation of game number 6 for the Kettleers, just game number 4 for Bourne. It's coming up in a matter of moments on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you in anticipation of game number 6 of the summer. One of the more beautiful days we've had so far, Matt. It's 70 degrees here in Cotuit, Massachusetts, and the humidity right around 80%, but it feels a lot lower than that because it's been so gosh darn humid the last couple days on Cape Cod. Thanks for joining us on this, what is it today, Tuesday afternoon, June 20th. If you're listening on our Mixlr page, if you're viewing on our YouTube live stream, we appreciate you spending some of your Tuesday afternoon with us, and hopefully we can satisfy your baseball needs on this mid-June Tuesday. Let's go over the starting lineups now. We'll begin with the visiting Bourne Braves, who come into this one 2-1. They're 1-0 on the road, 1-1 at home, of course, and that only loss came against the Kettleers last Wednesday night in the season opener at Bourne Park. Bourne starting 9 looks like this. Jamison Hanna, the left-handed hitting center fielder out of Dallas Baptist, bats first. Richie Palacios, the left-handed hitting DH out of Towson, bats second. Lyle Lynn, the righty catcher out of Arizona State, bats third. Grant Witherspoon, the proud Tulane Green Wave, bats from the left side, plays right field. He bats in the cleanup hole for Harvey Shapiro. Logan McRae, the right-handed hitting left fielder, bats fifth. Turner Brown, the switch-hitting second baseman, bats sixth. Spencer Brickhouse, the left-handed hitting first baseman, bats seventh. Brown and Brickhouse, two guys whose last names end in B. They also attend the same school, East Carolina University. Jared Triolo, the Houston Cougar, bats from the right side, playing third base today for Harvey Shapiro. He bats eighth. And Drew LaBounty, the redshirt junior shortstop out of the University of South Alabama, the right-handed batter, bats ninth. For Cotuit, the starting 9 looks like this. Pretty similar to last night, but a couple new guys. Griffin Conine bats first. He'll play right field. Grayson Ginista bats second. He'll play center. Luke Alexander making his second start of the summer. He's a switch-hitting third baseman today out of Mississippi State. Go Dogs. He bats third. John Cresto, after going 1 for 4 with an opposite field home run last night, bats fourth. He'll do the DHing for Mike Roberts. Zach Cohn moves up in the lineup a couple spots to the 5-hole. He's playing short, batting fifth. Miles Lewis in the lineup for the first time in a couple days. He bats sixth. He's a switch-hitting left fielder today out of Michigan. Mitch Bagras, the left-handed hitting first baseman, bats seventh. Akeo Thomas, the right-handed hitting second baseman, bats eighth. And Thomas Dillard, the switch-hitting catcher, batting ninth. Rare day off for Gian Marcellini, but I'm sure he appreciates some rest here on Cape Cod. As Cotuit just about ready to take the field. And Matt, the microphone is yours here before Game 6 of the 2017 summer for Cotuit.
All right, well, I suppose we've stalled as long as we possibly can as the Kettleers do indeed depart the home dugout up the first base side. Jason Billis gets the ball from Thomas Dillard, who gets it from the home plate umpire Mark Lima. Why not give you your home plate umpire or your umpiring lineup before we even throw a pitch tonight? That way you know who makes the call on that very first pitch from Jason Billis. It will be Mark Lima behind the plate, handling the balls and strikes tonight. At first base, Luis De Luis. A little bit of some simulation there, I suppose. Dave Viveros will be at third base. First time we've seen this crew in an all-Cape League Western Division matchup here tonight from Lowell Park. Jason Billis once again making his second start of the summer. Second season as a Kettleer. Throws from the right side, tall righty from Delaware. That's where he was born anyway. Plays his college ball at Coastal Carolina. He can feel the heat. It's a nice change-up over the last few days on Cape Cod. He's got a couple of the buttons up near his collarbone area undone. Doesn't appear to be wearing an undershirt either. A little bit of a rebellious look, I suppose, on the mound for Billis. The defense behind him will look as follows. Left side of the infield, Alexander and Cohn. Completing the double play combination, it'll be Akeo Thomas. Big Ross will be at first. Left to right in the outfield, Louis Genista and Conine. And the battery will be, or the back end of the battery will be Thomas Dillard. Cotuit, and their all-white pinstripe home tops with the maroon lettering, black trim, and the maroon numbering on the back as well. Black caps with the italic C on the front, and the white pants with the maroon pinstripes to complete them as well. Bourne will be in their road blue tops with the gray pants and a red stripe down the sides to go with a blue batting helmet. Digging in is Jamison Hanna, the Dallas Baptist lefty. Billis gets the sign from Dillard. The kick in the first pitch, and it's over for a strike on the outside corner. It's 0-1. Jamison Hanna has played just one game so far for Bourne. It's a Braves team who, as we've mentioned ad nauseum already in our attempt to stall before first pitch, that's played just 3. As the 0-1 misses outside, 1-1. In that one game, Jamison Hanna was 1 for 5. A Dallas Baptist Patriot playing center field tonight. Short and stocky hitter. Awaits the 1-1, and he swings and loops it into shallow center. That'll get down for a leadoff base hit. So Jamison Hanna gets things started for Bourne this afternoon. First base runner of the game, and now Richie Palacios will stroll to the plate.
Quickly, Matt, one more note on Bourne having only played 3 games. If memory serves, last season we began on June 9th, which would mean right about now we'd be about a fourth of the way through the season. Bourne not even a 15th of the way through the season. I mean, they have a lot of baseball games still to play in the next couple months.
In a way, you could theorize it's the worst possible time for the Kettleers to run into the Bourne Braves. More on that after the first pitch to Palacios. It's on the inside corner for a strike as he crowds Palacios to Billis, 0-1. And I say that because the Kettleers have played 3 games in the last 2 days, whereas Bourne has played none. We talked about it on the broadcast last night. The Kettleers bullpen is quite taxed. They're having to use about 4 or 5 arms a night with their starters not going too long. It's really not the starter's fault as the throw over is not in time. Most of these kids are on pitch counts. And when they reach that limit, even if they've pitched really well, they're usually pulled and the bullpen has to do the rest of the work. A lot of rainouts means Cotuit's needed a lot of reinforcements. Another throw over and it skips into Big Ross. We'll see if Jason Billis scraps that idea now after 2 that were nowhere close to tagging out Hanna. Anyway, Bourne, on the other hand, has an entirely fresh set of bullpen arms. Looking down the right field line into that Bourne bullpen, it looks like there's about 17 of them down there. 0-1, check swing, and a miss on a beautiful changeup, it looked like, from Billis. And Palacios from Towson trails in the count 0-2. It will come back to haunt, or I guess catch up to the Bourne Braves. Can't already say haunt preemptively. Might never actually affect them that they didn't play too much this weekend. They're going to have a lot of games in a short amount of time in the next couple of weeks. The 0-2, a beautiful breaking ball on the inside corner and at the knees. And the home plate umpire, Mark Lima, rings up Richie Palacios for out number 1 of this afternoon's ballgame. So now here's Lyle Lynn. Lynn been one of the most prolific hitters up on the Cape so far. He's 6 for 12, albeit in a short sample size. Couple runs scored, 3 driven in, and a double. He does have the requisite number of at-bats to qualify for the league's leading average. He's not exactly in the lead, but he's top 3. As the first pitch misses outside, 1-0. In fact, he's tied for second with Jeremy Pena, who we saw last night in Chatham, with a 500 even average right on the button. Only person with a higher batting average coming into play tonight, Nick Patton, who we also saw last night for the Anglers. Another throw over, and Hanna dives back in. Lyle Lynn on opening night did some damage to the Kettleers. He swings at the 1-0 and chops it towards the hole, moving over to his left, the third baseman Alexander to second for 1, on to first in time. Double play, no damage done there by Lyle Lynn. He grounds out around the horn, 5-4-3. And after the top half of the first, still no score, we'll move to the bottom half on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, bottom of the first inning we go. Ronnie Rosamondo climbs the hill for the Bourne Braves, making the start tonight for the Bravos. It's his first of the summer. And for the Kettleers, it'll be Griffin Conine, Grayson Genista, and Luke Alexander, the scheduled hitters here in the bottom of the first. No score after 1/2 inning of play. Bourne got a leadoff single from Jamison Hanna in the top of the first, but then Jason Billis picked up a strikeout of Richie Palacios and a 5-4-3 ground ball double play off the bat of Lyle Lynn to escape any trouble. Rosamondo gets the ball from his catcher Lynn. Conine digs in, and we're set for the first pitch out of Rosamondo's right hand. It's a fastball for a strike on the outside corner. It's 0-1. The numbers are quite impressive for Griffin Conine. Told you that Lyle Lynn is tied for second in batting average in the Cape League so far this year. As the 0-1 misses low to Conine, 1-1. Griffin Conine not too far behind. He's fifth in average, 9 for his first 20. And he's collecting extra base hit after extra base hit. 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run so far. Conine swings at the 1-1. Down the left field line. Moving over is the left fielder McCray, but that falls foul by a couple feet. And the count goes to 1-2. Conine is third in slugging percentage in the Cape League so far at an .850 clip. It'd be tough to sustain, but quite impressive if he did. And he's second in OPS at 1326. He's 2 for 5 last night with another extra base hit. That was a double in Chatham. Also picked up a single. It's in a 1-2 hole here. The pitch from Rosamondo skips well up and inside, or down and inside, excuse me. And it goes all the way to the backstop, 2-2. To further illustrate how impressive Griffin Conine's been at the plate, Will, we keep track of these things throughout the season, and Conine has hit just 2 balls in play on the ground all year so far. Everything off his bat has seemingly been a fly ball or a line drive. The 2-2 just up and away to Conine. And the count runs full. And the other thing he's done well is just what he did on that pitch. He's had a very good eye. He's only struck out twice. Just waiting for his pitch, and when he gets it, he's doing damage. The payoff pitch, check swing foul ball over towards Grayson Genista waiting in the on-deck circle. And we'll have one more.
We've also seen Griffin Conine a couple times spoil off, say, a high fastball like that pitch, and then on the very next pitch, the pitcher will try to come in the same spot, and Conine will make it pay.
Another payoff pitch and another ball that misses low, ball 4. And Griffin Conine works out a very good at-bat to lead things off for the Kettleers. 7 pitches to be exact. And Cotuit has the afternoon's first base runner.
And that's the ultimate sign of a really, really good fundamental hitter, is being able to lay off pitches you don't like so much, being able to just foul them off, and then if you get the same pitch in the same spot, if you get a more hittable pitch, then you do your damage. And it's exactly what we've seen from Griffin Conine so far through 5 games.
So the walk from Conine allows us to introduce you for the first time tonight to another walks machine, Grayson Genista. He picked up 3 of them last night. He swings at the first pitch here, however, flies it to straightaway center. Hanna breaks back initially, now a few strides in, makes the grab, 1 away. Genista went 1 for 2 last night with 3 walks, now has 4 on the season. But that fly out makes him 4 for 18 on the 2017 campaign so far, and it'll bring up Luke Alexander. Briefly introduced you to Alexander for the first time in 2017 on Sunday. That was game 2 of the doubleheader that Alexander drew the start. First pitch to Alexander of his 4th plate appearance as a Kettleer, misses up and away, 1-0. He was 1 for 3 in that game 2 on Sunday with a strikeout. Wears number 2 on his back for the Kettleers, third baseman tonight. Plays his college ball at Mississippi State and takes a 1-0 pitch for a strike on the inner half. It's 1-1. Talked about Luke Alexander being a switch hitter his entire career on Sunday. He's now moved over to just the right side as that pickoff attempt almost got away from the first baseman Brickhouse, as each starting pitcher has struggled to check in on runners at first base. Some erratic throws over towards the respective first basemen's Brickhouse and Begras so far in the first inning. Now the 1-1. That pitch tails low and outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Alexander was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. It's Mississippian through and through. Born and raised, and then continued his college ball at one of the best programs in the country. The 2-1, big rip and a miss on a changeup. And it's 2-2. Alexander hit .222 this year in Starkville. Didn't play much down the stretch as Mississippi State made a run to the Super Regionals. The 2-2. Swung and grounded towards second. Moving over is Brown. He's up with it to second for one. The return throw on to first. Not in time. Alexander beats the wrap. But there are two away as Conine is erased at second base.
Second baseman Brown that time looked like he couldn't quite get the ball out of his glove. He hesitated a little bit, and that was enough to allow Alexander to beat out that return throw from LaBounty at first base. So Cresto coming up. Hopefully Mr. Cresto can do some damage here in the first for Cotuit.
So Alexander and Conine trade places, and as you mentioned, here's John Cresto. Had his first big fly of the year last night in Chatham. Takes the pitch up and away, 1-0. But Cresto continues to be plagued by the strikeout. He's 3 for 14 so far this year. Has that home run, a double, 3 driven in, but he struck out 7 times. He squares this one up, though, and lines it into straightaway center. That'll get down in front of Hanna. Hanna moves over to cut it off. Rounding second and moving up to third easily is Alexander. And it's a 2-out base hit for Cresto to give the Kettleers runners on the corners. With Zach Cohn, the batter due up.
Maybe it's just the aggressive nature of Mike Roberts, but maybe Cotuit has a scouting report on some of these early outfielders this season. We saw it against Brewster a couple times on Sunday. Outfielders that just don't seem to have that strong of an arm. Jamison Hanna that time, not a very good throw into the cutoff man. You could tell all the way that Alexander was going to beat that throw, and we saw the game-winning run, I believe, in one of those games against Brewster. Just a center fielder that couldn't make a good throw to the plate, and Mike Roberts and Cotuit taking advantage.
So Zach Cohn will be the batter, as I mentioned. Cohn has quietly put together a very good start to 2017. He's been overshadowed just a bit by both his college teammate and his Kettleer teammate, Griffin Conine, as he takes a first pitch breaking ball at 79 miles an hour for a strike from Rosamondo. Cohn's actually 11th in the Cape League in average so far. 6 for 15 on the young season. 2 doubles, 2 driven in, 2 walks, 2 steals. He was 1 for 4 with one of those doubles last night in Chatham. That ball almost left the park. The 0-1, that misses low, skips in. Nice block by Lynn, but he can't find it. Moving up 90 feet to second will be Cresto, but thinking the better of trying to score is Alexander. And so it's a wild pitch that allows Cresto to advance. The count goes to 1-1, and now the Kettleers have 2 in scoring position with 2 outs for Cohn. A good job by Lynn just to get in front of that ball. It was about a 58-foot breaking ball from Rosamondo. We talked about it on opening night in Bourne. Lynn's not a natural catcher. And although he couldn't find the ball immediately, he made sure the more important runner on base, the runner at third, Alexander, did not advance. 1-1 now, the pitch to Cohn, and he spoils it foul down the right field line out of play. It's 1-2.
I heard the other night, Matt, listening to a random MLB game, that catcher's blocks are the most underappreciated play in the entire sport of baseball. You never hear the crowd applaud for a block if Lynn were to be playing at Doran Park today. It's such a tough play, a really wild pitch that time from Rosamondo, and no one really reacted at all. Just kind of saw his routine from Lynn.
The 1-2 to Cohn, just outside 2-2. It's a thankless position altogether, that's for sure. Call the catcher's gear the tools of ignorance in the sport of baseball, because not quite sure why anyone would sign up to be a catcher when they're a youngster.
Something about being involved in every pitch, but you'd think that you'd want to be a pitcher first and foremost.
The 2-2 pitch to Cohn takes it low and away, ball 3. So Rosamondo struggling with an out pitch. Talked about that quite a few times through the first 5 Kettleers games of the year. He's jumped ahead of Cotuit hitters here in the bottom of the first so far, but has struggled to put him away. Walks have been a theme for Rosamondo in his 2 years at UConn. He's had 4.79 per 9 innings. The 3-2 pitch swung on and lifted towards the right field side. That'll get underneath the glove of Brown and into right field. Coming in to score 1 is Alexander. Cresto with the slide will score as well. It was a wild slide from John Cresto. He actually never even hit the plate initially. Lyle Lynn had the ball, but he chose not to apply the tag. And so it's a 2-run single off the bat of Zach Cohn, and the Kettleers take a 2-0 lead.
Another poor throw from the outfielder Witherspoon that time, and Lynn was set up like a third of the way up the first base line. He caught the throw from Witherspoon and then lunged back to try to make a play, and he was nowhere close to the home plate area. Really strange play all around from the Bourne defense that time.
Well, we've seen some awful defense in the first 5 games and change, I suppose.
Horrible throws from the outfield. Kinnaman has the only good throw we've seen from the outfield all season long.
Players playing out of position as the first pitch is swung on and lifted by Lewis to straightaway left. That'll hang up for McCray, who makes a nice play and retires the side. Ronnie Rosamondo slams his mitt with his left hand. He gives up 2 in the bottom of the second on 2 hits, no errors, and he leaves 1 on base. We'll move to the second. 2-0 Kettleers on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Jason Billis climbs back onto the mound to begin inning number 2. He's pitching with the lead for the first time here at Lowell Park tonight. 2-0 Cotuit leads Bourne after 1. And leading off the top of the second for the Braves is Grant Witherspoon, the two-lane righty, and he takes first pitch low, ball 1. Two-lane lefty, rather. All sorts of backwards to start this game, Will. The 1-0. This is outside, 2-0. Billis got out of the first inning on the strength of a 5-4-3 double play. That's noteworthy with Jason Billis on the mound because opening night against the Bourne Braves, as the 2-0 is over for a strike to get the count to 2-1. Opening night, Jason Billis went just 4 1/3 innings, but he coaxed 3 double plays from the Bourne Braves bats. It's a Bourne team that, if memory serves, I'm almost positive on this, led the entire Cape League in double plays last year. Grounded into, that is, as the 2-1's fouled back, and it's 2-2. There were ultimately 4 double plays that the Braves hit into on opening night. It really helped to stymie a lot of the Bourne rallies. Felt early on in that game at Doran Park as though Bourne might blow things open as they had a lot of traffic, but they allowed Cotuit to hang around. Eventually the Kettleers went in front. 2-2 grounded towards second. Thomas to his right on the backhand, scoops it up and makes the throw, 1 away. So that'll bring up Logan McCray. McCray batting in the 5-hole tonight, playing left for Bourne. From the College of Charleston, 1 for 8 so far this year for Bourne with 3 strikeouts. He was in the lineup on opening night against the Kettleers. And he takes the first pitch for a strike from Billis at 92 miles an hour. It's 0-1. In that opening night game, McCray went 0 for 4 with a pair of groundouts and a pair of strikeouts, 1 looking and 1 swinging. Both those strikeouts, I should note, came as he faced Jason Billis. He faces him again here, and the 0-1 misses down and in, 1-1. Will talked about it in the pregame. Jason Billis struggled to jump ahead of hitters in his first start of the year against Bourne last Wednesday night. It's the 1-1's wasted foul back behind the screen. It's 1-2. First time through the lineup, Billis threw first pitch balls to 7 of the 9 Brave hitters. Didn't get much better from there either for Billis. as he ultimately threw 12 of 17 first pitch balls. Before the 1-2, time is called by Logan McCray. Jason Billis was drafted in the 29th round out of high school by the Dodgers. He was actually offered $600,000 to sign, which is quite a bit that late in the Major League draft. The 1-2 lays off, does McCray, as it misses outside 2-2. I guess if you're the Dodgers, you can spend a little bit more money than some other teams. Highest payroll in baseball.
You wonder why they're paying so much luxury tax every season. $600,000 to what, a 28th rounder, you said?
29th.
29th. Unbelievable.
It's really, from what I read, third-round money. As the 2-2's grounded towards short. Cone to his right on the backhand. Deep in the hole, makes the throw across the diamond in time to get McCray 2 away. But Billis still chose to go to college. It was actually an interesting story. Jason Billis underwent Tommy John surgery before his senior year of high school, so he didn't even pitch his senior year. And because he didn't pitch his senior year, a lot of scouts from major league teams had kind of stopped paying attention to him a little bit. They assumed that he was obviously draft eligible but wouldn't be drafted high and thus wouldn't sign. As the first pitch to Brown is grounded towards first, Begras down to one knee, flips to Billis covering. Side retired. More on that tale about Jason Billis as the night goes on, but he works a very quick 1-2-3 top of the second. Nothing across for the Braves, and we'll move to the bottom of the second. Still 2-0 Kettleers on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Mitch Begras leads off for the Kettleers in the bottom of the second. He'll be followed by Akeo Thomas and Thomas Dillard, 7, 8, and 9, lefty, righty, and a switch hitter, Thomas Dillard, who I assume will hit from the left side against the righty Ronnie Rosamondo, who climbs back on the bump to begin his second inning of work for the Bourne Braves. It's 2-0. Cotuit leads Bourne after one inning of play. Cotuit got 2 runs on 2 hits in the bottom of the first. And the first pitch of the bottom of the second misses up and into Begras. It's 1-0. One of those 2 hits, a 2 RBI single with 2 outs, off the bat of Zach Cone as he went the other way towards the right side, just under the glove of the second baseman, Brown. 1-0 pitch misses upstairs to Begras, 2-0. Last night, Zach Cone put 4 balls in play, and he went to the opposite field on all 4 of those as well. So clearly an approach to go the other way for Zach Cone, and it's worked out so far as he continues to have a nice start to 2017. 2-0 pitch misses up and into Begras. And now Mitch Begras, the BC lefty, is in the driver's seat. We'll see if he has the green light. Begras last night, 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. 3-0, and he's taking all the way, and it's over for a strike, 3-1. Overall, in 2017, Mitch Begras, 3 for 13. 1 double, again, that came last night. 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. The 3-1 from Rosamondo, that misses up and in, ball 4. And for the second consecutive inning, Ronnie Rosamondo walks the leadoff hitter. Akeo Thomas strolls to the plate now Thomas 4 for 11 on the young season. 1 driven in and 5 walks. Thomas leads the Kettleers in walks. Had another one last night and a 1 for 3 night. And the Kettleers have already walked twice so far through the first inning plus. First pitch is upstairs to Thomas. Throw behind the runner Begras, but he's back in time. Checking the walks leaderboard in the Cape League. As Thomas first steps out. K.O. Thomas with his 5. Ranks in the top 10. Actually ranks tied for second overall with Logan Davison. It squares to bunt here, pushes it beautifully up the first base side. Rosamondo off the mound to a knee, scoops it and flips to first in time to get the speedy Thomas, but it's a successful sacrifice off the bat of a KO as Big Ross moves up 90 feet, and the Kettleers have a runner in scoring position with the lineup card moving to number 9, Thomas Dillard.
Not only, Matt, will I guess that K.O. Thomas will lead the league in sacrifice bunts when it's all said and done, but he might actually be one of the best bunters on Cape Cod. We've seen him be able to push the ball wherever he wants so far this season. And a very good skill to have for a guy who's on Mike Roberts' squad this summer on Cape Cod.
So here's Thomas Dillard. He had a rough night last night. Did have an RBI single. As the first pitch is over for a strike from Rosamondo. Breaking ball at 83 miles an hour. But another 2 strikeouts for Thomas Dillard. He's now 3 for 18 so far this year with 9 punch-outs. Since we took a look at the walks leaderboard, look at the strikeouts leaderboard and find Thomas Dillard all alone on top. Not a place you want to be, and he takes a wild cut and a miss at the 0-1. It's 0-2. Last night, Thomas Dillard swung and missed 6 times. This is a theme that we will talk about as the night goes on, not just from Dillard, but from the Kettleers as a whole. Rosamondo with a long set. Checks the runner at second, now comes to the plate with the 0-2. Grounded towards the hole, moving over is the shortstop Labounty. On the backhand, long throw, won't be in time. Dillard beats it out. So Thomas Dillard hits it in the perfect spot. Cutting over was Triolo at third. He couldn't get it. Labounty had to make the stab, and then a wild off-balance throw, and he was too late. So the Kettleers have runners on the corners with 1 out. And Griffin Conine, the most dangerous hitter in the Kettleers lineup, due up. Anyway, so far this year, we'll go game by game. Night 1, the Kettleers swung and missed 21 times. Night 2, 23. Won't say night 3 because we had a couple rainouts. I'll say game 3 against Brewster, 19. Game 4 against Brewster, 17 swings and misses. And then last night in Chatham, 22 swings and misses. They've averaged just a 68% contact rate so far, Will. And last night they had 21 different counts that saw 2 strikes. First pitch to Griffin Conine misses outside 1-0. And I think all of this conspires to tell a little bit of a tale for the Kettleers. And that is that they're swinging early, they're missing early, and they're getting themselves in a lot of counts that are favorable to pitchers. Hasn't really affected them so far, as the 1-0 to Conine is ripped back foul 1-1. Conine wanted time there, but it wasn't granted by Mark Lima. And Conine strolls out to shake his head a little bit and now steps back in with the count even. Cotuit is still second in the league in average on-base percentage and OPS. They're third overall in slugging. It's the 1-1 to Conine on the outside corner, 1-2. But the more they play with fire, the more likely they are to get burned, I suppose. You and I were looking at the Harwich Mariners numbers last year from a contact rate standpoint. That was the team we called games for last year, of course. And you contrast the Kettleers' 68% roughly rate to the Mariners, and they were 77% in making contact last year. So a stark difference of 9 entire percentage points. Rosamondo steps off, looks the runners back, now rejoins the rubber on the first base side. From the stretch, the 1-2 to Conine, and that misses low, 2-2. The strikeout numbers for Cotuit are a little bit concerning as well. That'll happen when you swing and miss as much as the Kettleers are. Got 47 strikeouts so far this year. That's tied for 7th in the league. Some of the teams behind him haven't played as many games. Rosamondo turns and looks at first, bluffs the runner back, and now comes set again. A lot of nerves got to work for an opposing defense as the 2-2 to Conine is nubbed up the first base line, trickling foul. And we'll do it again. Anyway, not a lot of nerves got to work for an opposing defense when the Kettleers have runners on the corners and less than 2 outs. Because we've seen them pull that old first and third Little League type play about 3 times already this year, and it's succeeded, I think, two of the 3.
I think there are only a couple guys in this Cotuit lineup right now that Mike Roberts wouldn't pull that play.
Griffin Conine being one. Yeah.
Conine's certainly at the top of that list.
I was thinking that before I said it. It's a good point. Don't want to run yourself out of an inning with this guy at the plate. He's got a big hole on the right side. Runners on the corners. The 2-2 with 1 out. Swung and chopped right back through the box. Rosamondo looks to second, throws there for 1, on to first in time. Double play, inning over. Great reactions from Ronnie Rosamondo. He slams his mitt one more time. He does not ultimately give up a run this time. Had to navigate a few more base runners. He walked one and gave up an infield single, but there were no errors. And Griffin Conine left 2 Kettleers on base. We'll move to the top of the 3rd. Still 2-0 Cotuit on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Jason Billis climbs back onto the mound for inning number 3. He's faced the minimum through the first 2. Did give up a leadoff single in the top of the first, but got a Lyle Lynn ground ball to work a double play and get out of that jam. And then worked a 1-2-3 second. He's got a 2-0 lead, and he'll face the bottom third of the Bourne Braves order here in the 3rd.
He sure will, Matt. That bottom third, Brickhouse, Triolo, and LaBounty. Lefty, righty, righty. As the first of which, the lefty, Brickhouse, looks at a first pitch changeup that misses outside for ball 1. Spencer Brickhouse, the big slugger out of ECU in Zebulon, North Carolina. Here's the 1-0 from Billis. It's a fastball at 91 miles an hour that misses outside, 2-0. He went 1 for 2 with a single and a sharp line out on Wednesday night against Jason Billis, and these two's only prior history. Here's the 2-0 kick and delivery. This time it gets the lower half of the zone, outside corner as well, in the opinion of Mark Lima, our home plate umpire, and it's 2-1. So far this season, Brickhouse just a 167 average. He's just 1 for 6. This is his 3rd start of the summer. As the 2-1, a changeup on the lower half again. Again, Spencer Brickhouse not too pleased with the strike call, but the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brickhouse, 6'4", 225 pounds, awaits the 2-2. He swings at it and cues a fastball back to the screen. Count stays right where it was. Just finished up his freshman season in Greenville, North Carolina for the ECU Pirates. Hit .310, 51 starts, 10 homers, 28 runs batted in. He was at one time ranked the number 4 overall prospect in the entire state of North Carolina. that ranking by perfect game. Here's the 2-2, swung on and laced into left field for a base hit. Left fielder Lewis is over, cuts it off, and throws back in. And the not-too-speedy Brickhouse at first base with his second hit of the summer. A good start for Bourne here in their half of the third as it brings up the Houston Cougar right-handed hitter, Jared Triolo. See Brickhouse use both fields that time. He's a guy that profiles as a pulling slugger, likes to hit home runs over short right porches, I read in preparation for this one, but that time going the other way on an outside 2-2 fastball and finding some green in front of the left fielder Lewis. So now Triolo, number 15, again the Houston Cougar stepping in and swings at a first pitch fastball, laces it into center field for a base hit. Brickhouse doesn't really take a turn at second. He's content to hold up there. So back-to-back singles on back-to-back fastballs from Jason Billis, and Bourne with something brewing here in their half of the third, down 2-0 as the 9-hitter Drew LaBounty comes up. This Bourne team, we profiled them on Wednesday night, perhaps preemptively, that Harvey Shapiro likes to recruit a lot of guys that hit for average, hit a lot of singles, but don't necessarily have that much pop. And so far, 3 base hits, 3 line drive singles, as now Drew LaBounty steps in, another guy that's a high average guy that probably won't take you out of the ballpark too often. At just 5'9", he shows butt and pops it up foul off the backstop. It's 0-1.
That trend has continued for Bourne. I know it's a small sample size, but so far in 2017 as well. Bourne third in on-base percentage in the league entering play tonight, but just 7th in slugging percentage with a meager .287 clip, and 6th in OPS with a .626 clip.
LaBounty comes in at a .000 clip. He pulls his bat back on the 0-1 fastball that misses low. It's 1-1. That's LaBounty with no space. L-A and then a capital B, Bounty. Plays his college ball at South Alabama. He's 0 for 4 so far in this Cape League season. Has just 1 start prior to this game. Again, Bourne's only played 3 games coming in. He squares to bunt once again. Here's the 1-1 from Billis. It's a fastball that misses outside. It's 2-1. You hear this all the time. I know it's mighty cliche, but Bourne right now essentially giving Cotuit an out. And you can see a guy like Jason Billis, who does struggle with his command at times, not being able to throw a strike into LaBounty, who again stands just 5'8" in the right-handed hitter's batter's box. Squares to bunt once again. The 2-1 fastball gets the outside corner. LaBounty doesn't like the strike call. 94 miles an hour that time, and the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It was quite the generous strike call there from home plate umpire Mark Lima. Pitch was in the exact same spot as the previous 2 that were called balls. That really could have swayed the balance of this at-bat.
Infield in on the corners. They're playing back up the middle as the 2-2 from Billis. Fastball gets by the catcher Dillard to the backstop. So that will do the job for Drew LaBounty. It's not a sacrifice, obviously, but both runners move up 90 feet apiece. Brickhouse to third, Triolo to second, and now in a 3-2 count with nobody out here in the third, we'll see if LaBounty is once again bunting. It's a guy that just finished up his redshirt junior campaign for South Alabama. Hit .301, drove in 42 runs, 4 home runs as well. Dangles the bat up near his right ear as Billis comes set, kicks and delivers the 3-2. It's a fastball that misses low, scooped up by Dillard, and LaBounty tosses his bat toward the Bourne dugout down the first base line and trots on down to first base with a well-earned no-out walk. Things heating up in a hurry for Jason Billis, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleer. He had faced the minimum through 2 innings coming in, but Brickhouse laced a single the other way to lead off this 3rd inning. Triolo on the first pitch of his AB, rifle a single into center, and now LaBounty, after taking quite a few pitches, squaring around to bunt on quite a few pitches, draws a walk, and now the top of the lineup coming up, Jamison Hanna, the Dallas Baptist center fielder, stands in and looks at a breaking ball that never quite broke. It misses outside for ball 1.
Control has been the issue as Mike Roberts is going to pop out of the dugout and have a conference with it that looks like his entire infield. Control has been the issue for Jason Billis really from the onset of his pitching career. especially in college, I suppose. 35 walks in 44 2/3 his freshman year at Coastal, and then 42 walks this year at Coastal Carolina in just 52 2/3 innings. And command almost kept Coastal from offering Billis altogether from what I read. These command issues really go back all the way to high school for Jason Billis. Coastal kind of shied away at one point, and I was listening to an interview when Jason Billis said that as far as he knew, the Coastal Carolina offer was off the table. That's why he considered that 29th round LA Dodgers draft pick, and the reason that Coastal offer was at least perceived to be off the table was because Jason Billis had struggled with some command issues his senior year of high school. And I know sometimes coming back from Tommy John surgery, as Jason Billis has, command can be hit or miss. I think over the last few years, some of the surgeons who performed Tommy John and some of the people who were involved in the rehab process have kind of gotten it down to a little bit more of an exact science in order to get pitchers their control back. But for some pitchers, it just never returns. I don't think Jason Billis is at that point yet, but it's clearly something he's struggled with since he had the surgery.
1-0 is the count on Hannah. Here's the 1-1. Breaking ball misses low. It's now 2-0. Alexander, the third baseman, in on the infield grass. So is Begras, the first baseman. Cotuit still conceding a run up the middle with Cone and Thomas back at double play depth. Probably not going to turn too many double plays with Hannah, the batter. Dallas Baptist Patriot stole 9 bags in his sophomore season at DBU. Here's the 2-0 from Billis. A fastball that gets by Dillard to the backstop. That'll score Brickhouse from third. Triolo moves up to third. LaBounty to second. And now the count 3-0 on Jamison Hannah. The score 2-1. Cotuit still leading. But things, again, to use this phrase once again, heating up in a hurry for Jason Billis out on the mound. He was at just 19 pitches through 2 clean innings. Had started out 4 out of the first 6 batters he faced with strike 1, but so far in this inning, struggling to command the fastball. Balls that haven't really been close. A 3-0, change up that time, misses low, ball 4. 2 consecutive walks issued. A righty is warming in the Cotuit bullpen. The bases once again full of Bourne Braves. Still nobody out here in the third, and the score 2-1.
Been watching the action down that left field line where the Cotuit bullpen is located. It was initially just some stirring, and then when that wild pitch took place, the stirring turned into a little bit of a more frantic and urgent type of throwing program. And then when ball 4 took place to Jamison Hannah, it really ratcheted up. I can't tell exactly who it is yet. Jason Billis might not be long for this game.
First pitch into Palacios, popped up on the right side. Thomas back. Infield fly is called, but Thomas catches anyway. It's a big first pitch out. The Towson Tiger Palacios looking a bit disheartened as he makes his way back to the Bourne dugout. There's one gone, no runners advance, and now Lyle Lynn, the catcher, coming up.
It's an interesting calculus there from Richie Palacios. You've got a guy who hasn't really hit the strike zone at all throughout this entire inning. He's walked 2 batters already. He's delivered 2 separate wild pitches. And you go after the first pitch you see with the bases loaded and a chance for a huge inning.
Watch out here with Lynn up. He swings through a good first pitch slider and misses. Ball broke right through the zone, and Lynn couldn't make contact. It's 0-1.
I guess the part of the calculus problem, to continue that theme that Palacios might have done right, is thinking that Billis, because he had struggled with his command so much up to that point, might just groove him one. Palacios got under it.
The 0-1 to Lynn. Same pitch, same spot, same result. Swings through another good slider, breaking ball hybrid, whatever you want to call it. 0-2. Alexander now back at third. Begras still in on the corner at first. Double play would be huge here for Jason Billis. He's already turned 4 in his first 7+ innings of Cape League baseball this summer. Trying to turn a 5th here. The 0-2 into Lynn. A fastball cued over on the right side. Begras back into foul territory. Makes the running catch. The runner at third, Triolo, bluffs toward the plate, but he can't go anywhere. A fine defensive play, a harder than it looked defensive play made by Mitch Begras that time. And there are 2 gone in the third. 1 more out to get for Jason Billis with Witherspoon coming up.
You summed it up really well, Will. A harder than it looked defensive play for Begras there at first. It's almost as though Lynn told Begras to go for a fade route in the corner of the end zone and look over his right shoulder and try to make a tough catch with a tough adjustment, and Begras did just that.
Touchdown Kettleers that time. Witherspoon swings at the first pitch and laces it fair ball into the right field corner. 1 run will score. That's Triolo. Here comes LaBounty scoring the second. Hannah being sent by Harvey Shapiro as the throw comes in to Zach Cohn. A 3-run, 2-out double off the bat of Grant Witherspoon, and it's 4-2 Bourne.
Jason Billis got 2/3 of the way up the mountain, Will, with some nice pitching and with a little bit over-eager hitting from the Braves at the plate. And then Grant Witherspoon probably in the one spot where he could afford to be a tad over-eager, knowing that Jason Billis was probably going to give him another fastball and try to dial it up a little bit to get that final out and pull a huge escape job here in the third. Witherspoon went right after that first pitch fastball. It was a little bit early, but tucked it right underneath Begrass's glove, who could not make 2 straight beautiful plays. And as you mentioned, he clears the bases, and the wheels come off here for Jason Billis in the top of the third.
Witherspoon's first 3 runs batted in of the summer, and I was just about to say, Matt, you kind of just summed it up, but how brutal is the sport of baseball with Billis so close to escaping the third inning. He can't do so, and it's 4-2 Bourne. A new pitcher coming in. Billis's day is done, and we'll have more on the new Cotuit reliever after a quick break on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at beautiful Lowell Park on this Tuesday, early evening, late afternoon, whatever you want to call it, from Cotuit, Massachusetts. Joined by Matt Rigby, I'm Will Greer. If you're just joining us today, you've missed quite a bit. Bourne rallying for 4 runs in their half of the third to overcome a 2-run deficit. They now lead 4-2. They've chased Cotuit starter Jason Billis as the Coastal Carolina Chanticleer gives way to the University of Michigan Wolverine. Jace Van Sinna, 6'5", 225 pounds out of Millbury, Ohio, making his 3rd appearance of the summer already. And we will assume that Van Sinna, the long man today for Mike Roberts, with, as Matt mentioned earlier, a taxed bullpen for Cotuit and a lot of innings to go this afternoon. Logan McCray, the College of Charleston Cougar from the right side, pops up the first pitch he sees back behind the backstop, and it's quickly 0-1. To recap this top of the third for Bourne, Brickhouse led off the inning with a single, then Triolo singled, LaBounty and Hanna both walked, and then Jason Billis induced 2 pop-ups on the infield, one to second and one to first. And then on the first pitch, the next batter, Witherspoon, laced a double into the right field corner past a diving Mitch Begrass, scoring 3 and getting Bourne a 4-2 lead. The 0-1 to McCray, a good fastball from Van Sinna at 91 miles an hour. On the inner half that time, it's 0-2. Van Sinna so far a 1-0 record. He won the season opener last Wednesday night at Bourne. Has 4 strikeouts in 5 innings pitched. He's only given up 3 hits in those 5 innings. Again, 6'5", the tall righty. He's been impressive so far. Kicks and delivers the 0-2. It's popped up on the infield once again. Zach Cohn, the shortstop, calls everybody off and makes the play near the second base bag for out number 3. But Bourne rallies for 4 in their half of the third on 3 hits. They leave 1 at second base, and we're through 2.5 innings of play from beautiful Lowell Park. It's 4-2, Bourne over Cotuit on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you on this Tuesday early evening, June 20th. It's 4-2 Bourne over Cotuit. But still plenty of baseball left to be played on this Tuesday afternoon. Plenty of opportunities for Cotuit to rally and try to pick up their 5th win already of the summer. Ronnie Rosamondo, the 6'5" righty out of UConn, back out onto the mound from the first base side of the rubber. He'll face 2, 3, and 4 in this Cotuit lineup. The first of which, Grayson Ginesta, from the left side, looks at a first pitch fastball that misses outside. It's 1-0. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors for Cotuit. 4 runs, 4 hits, no errors for Bourne. The 1-0 fastball gets the outside corner, 1-1. The Braves come in at 2-1 overall. Cotuit at 4-1, losing their only game of the season so far last night at Veterans Field. The 1-1 into Ginesta, cued to the left side over the third baseman Triolo's head, but he's called off by the shortstop Labalti in shallow left field as Labalti coasts over and makes the play for out number 1. Ronnie Rosamondo, a really impressive guy, a guy that just finished up his sophomore season at UConn for head coach Jim Penders. And I mentioned this a little bit glass half empty in the pregame show that Rosamondo had nice numbers in his sophomore season, but perhaps those were boosted a little bit by making some midweek starts as the first pitch into Luke Alexander fouled back to the screen, 0-1. Alexander 0 for 1 today, by the way. He did score a run, though. Reached on a fielder's choice back in the first. Rosamondo and P.J. Poulin, the lefty out of the Bourne bullpen. We saw him on opening night as the 0-1. Alexander again gets a tip. Lyle Lynn gloves and fakes a throw for some reason. It's 0-2 now on Alexander. Jim Penders called Poulin as well as Ronnie Rosamondo multi-purpose guys that he could toss out onto the mound in those midweek starts, but then bring in out of the bullpen for the weekend series, which, of course, are more important in the college baseball season because those are usually conference games. The 0-2 misses just low, apparently. It's 1-2. So Rosamondo is facing some Northeast baseball programs, Bryant, Quinnipiac, Northeastern. Solid programs, but not the kind of at-bats you're going to get out of an American Athletic Conference team as the 1-2 laced into center field by the second baseman Turner Brown for a 1-out base hit. Nice piece of hitting that time from Luke Alexander. It's a 1-out single, bringing up John Cresto. Was looking up Rosamondo before the ball game and found a really interesting quote from his senior year of high school. He said very confidently that he's a pitcher who commands all his stuff. He says he can hit corners. Said he can throw off-speed pitches for strikes and hitters' counts. As the first pitch into Cresto, a breaking ball that gets the lower half, inside corner as well. It's 0-1. And then he said, this is kind of interesting, Matt, I've always been taught to be the nicest guy off the field, but when I'm on the mound, it's kill or be killed. And then he continued, I'm going to bulldoze you, and that will take care of itself. We didn't ask Ronnie. A little defensive. The 0-1 into Cresto, chopped to the left side, fielded by the third baseman Triolo, who now boots it. An error, E5 on Triolo, the third baseman out of Houston. Cresto reaches first base, and now Cotuit rallying in their half of the third for Zach Cohn.
It explains the mitt pounding, I suppose.
Intense, yeah. Kind of John Lackey of him. Some guys just have to get that charged up to be successful.
Kill or be killed was the quote. Wonder how many gloves he's killed. A ferocious pound to the mitt each of the last 2 innings when he exited the mound. It's not a catcher's mitt. Pitcher's mitt's a little more delicate. Might come apart at the seams.
Cohn 1 for 1 today. A 2-run single back in the first as the first pitch breaking ball right over the heart of the zone for strike 1. Here's something else interesting that I know you will at least find interesting, Matt, is that Rosamondo in his senior year of high school claimed that his biggest role model was Matt Harvey, who was a Connecticut guy born in New London. We've seen Harvey kind of fall off a cliff in terms of his intensity out on the mound as the 0-1 fastball misses outside, 1-1 now. Another guy, a comp from one of the coaches that had to face Ronnie Rosamondo, or at least a coach that had to coach against Rosamondo. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but he said that Rosamondo reminded him of another Connecticut guy, Charlie Morton, who's also an intense guy out on the mound, if memory serves, as Zach Cohn swings through a 1-1 fastball. It's 1-2.
And who, unlike Matt Harvey, is having a career revival this year. Charlie Morton's been great in Houston. You're going to pick one of those routes to go, Mr. Rosamondo. I'd take the latter. Mr. Harvey is a fragile doll.
Take the road less traveled, perhaps. The 1-2 into Cone. Swung in line to the right field corner. Fair ball. 1 run will score. That's Alexander being sent around. Here comes the runner at third, John Cresto. He'll be held there as the throw comes in from the right fielder, Witherspoon. More good hitting from Zach Cone. Maybe the most underrated Kettleer.
Yep.
An RBI double. And just like that, Cotuit within a run at 4-3.
Maybe the most underrated player in the entire Cape League so far, Will, and make it 6 for his last 6 going to the opposite field. He's got a real inside-out swing right now. His last hit to the opposite field last night was that double that we thought was going to leave the park at Veterans Field, but I think it hung up in the mist and the sticky air just a bit much in Chatham. Now he has 2 run-scoring hits to the opposite field, not quite as prodigious as that double was last night, but that one goes down the line. He's just doing what he can with those inside corner pitches. Pitchers keep going there on him, and he's making him pay, as now it's 4-3, and the Kettleers are threatening to jump right back in front with Rosamondo's day done.
Cone has driven in all 3 runs for the Kettleers as Harvey Shapiro, who has the slowest walk out to the mound in the Cape League, has made that walk. He's gotten the ball from starter Ronnie Rosamondo, and a new arm coming in for the Braves. We'll have more on that new arm after a quick break. Stay with us on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, 72 degrees. The temperature, humidity is rapidly dropping, and we've got a picture perfect, I'll correct myself, afternoon for baseball here in Cotuit, Massachusetts. New righty out of the Bourne bullpen is Sean Leland, 6'4", 200 pounds, out of Orland Park, Illinois, a southwest suburb of Chicago. Goes to the University of Illinois at Champaign. He's a transfer from Louisville. That means that Mr. Leland didn't pitch at all in his junior season because he transferred after last season, but had some success for the Louisville Cardinals. Transfer to be closer to home, I'll assume, and he'll face Miles Lewis. An all Big Ten matchup here, Illinois versus Michigan. Lewis from the left side looks at a first pitch fastball in the dirt. It's 1-0. To recap this inning for Cotuit, Ginesta led off and he popped up to the shortstop LaBounty. Then Alexander singled up the middle. Cresto reached via an error by the third baseman Triolo, and Zach Cone doubled the other way into the right field corner, bringing home 1. Now there are 2 in scoring position, just 1 out, as Leland kicks and delivers a 1-0, a changeup that Lewis lays off, and it's 2-0. Sean Leland, when he last pitched in college, his sophomore season, 2016 at Louisville, pitched just 8 1/3 innings, a 3.24 ERA, 10 walks in those 8 1/3. Come set here again, 2 in scoring position. Cotuit trying to retake the lead here in the third. Here's the 2-0. Lewis swings and chops it foul over toward the Bourne dugout, and the count now 2-1. Miles Lewis 0 for 1 today. He flew out to the left fielder McCray back in the first inning. The switch-hitting Michigan Wolverine comes into this one. Just 0 for 2 so far on the season. He's only played in one game. He shows bunt, stabs at it, and fouls it back to the screen. So the count now 2-2. As everyone charging, everyone moving around on that play. But it's just a foul ball, and we'll reset now at 2-2. 4-3, Bourne over Cotuit. This back and forth game. A couple West Division rivals going at it on this Tuesday afternoon. It's Cresto at third, Cone at second. Miles Lewis trying to bring home a couple runs here. The 2-2 breaking ball in the dirt, 81 miles an hour. Lyle Lynn making the block that time, and the count is run full at 3-2. Leland steps off, toys with his glove a bit. The infield at normal depth and positioning for the Bourne Braves. So is the outfield, although the left fielder McCray is in a shade. He's in pretty shallow left field, actually, the more I look at him. As Leland comes set, kicks and delivers the 3-2. It's swung on and chopped to the shortstop, LaBounty. His only play will be to first. He makes that play successfully, but it's an RBI ground out for Miles Lewis, bringing home John Cresto from third. And now, just a half inning after Bourne struck for 4, Cotuit strikes for 2. And we're tied at 4 here in the third.
Job well done there for Miles Lewis. Guess that goes without saying. The only thing he really couldn't do there was pop it up on the infield or strike out. He got a little bit close, ran the count deep though, got his pitch that he ultimately wanted, served it towards the left side, and ties up the ballgame.
So now Leland will face Bagras from the left side as Mitch Bagras looks at a first pitch breaking ball that gets the outer half. It's 0-1. Still work to be done for Mr. Leland and the Bourne Braves. You can bet that Ronnie Rosamondo intently watching on from the Bourne dugout. Here's the 0-1 kick and delivery. It's a fastball that misses outside. And it's 1-1 now on Bagras.
Seems like one of those 8-inning nights at Lowell Park developing here, Will Greer.
Bagras 0 for 0 with a walk back in the second. We're an hour old in this one and just about to finish up the third inning. Sun sets at 8:18. From experience, we probably will stop playing baseball around 7:50 or so as the 1-1 foul back toward the cars here at Lowell Park. Count now 1-2 on Bagras. Good crowd on hand. A late arriving crowd. This our second weekday game of the season, but the first was last Thursday, the home opener. So today perhaps some fathers getting off work a little bit late, bringing their sons around 5:30, 6 o'clock or so. Both bleachers down both lines have really filled up as the 1-2. Bagras kind of checks his swing to the first baseman Brickhouse, who tosses to Leland covering for out number 3. Excuse me, cut that time from Mitch Bagras. It's a ground out that ends the third inning. But Cotuit ties things up on the strength of 2 hits and a pretty costly error from the third baseman Triolo. And we're through 3 innings of play from beautiful sun-splashed Lowell Park. 4-4 between Bourne and Cotuit on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park for the top of the 4th inning of play, game number 6 for the Cotuit Kettleers this season. We thank you for joining us. However, you may be tuning in, listening in, watching on YouTube or Mixlr. Again, do appreciate you tuning in and hope you've enjoyed the broadcast so far. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you. 7, 8, and 9. Make it 6, 7, and 8 due up for Bourne here in the 4th. The first of which, the 6-hitter, Turner Brown, looks at a first pitch fastball from Jace Van Senna that misses outside for ball 1. Van Senna, the switch-hitting second baseman today out of ECU from the left side. Swings at the 1-0, skies it out of play, back behind us. And the count now 1-1. Brown 0 for 1 so far. He grounded out to the right side. Mitch McGross made a nice play and then tossed to the then pitcher, Jason Billis, covering the bag at first for out number 3 back in the second. 4-4 is the score. As Van Senna kicks and delivers a 1-1 that misses upstairs, 2-1. Brown kind of bluffed a bunt that time but pulled it back. Don't know if that was to get in the head of Jace Van Senna more than anything, but now the third baseman Alexander does come in a few steps to protect against that potential bunt play. As Van Senna out of the windup kicks and delivers a 2-1 fastball that again misses way high. Dillard out of his crouch just to glove that pitch, and the count 3-1 on Turner Brown.
This has been the bugaboo for the Kettleers on the mound so far through the first 3 innings, and it looks like it's coming back to rear its ugly head in the 4th. 2 leadoff walks through the first 3 innings, and now a 3-1 count.
Here's the 3-1, another leadoff walk. Make it 3 in the first 4 innings, Matt, as Turner Brown didn't really have to do too much work in the left-handed hitter's batter's box. Stared at 3 straight fastballs that missed up and outside into Turner Brown, and he's at first with the leadoff walk for his ECU teammate, Spencer Brickhouse. Haven't seen Van Senna really struggle with the command like that, making his 3rd appearance of the summer for Mike Roberts. But a bad sequence that time, and Brickhouse from the left side looks at a first pitch fastball that misses high. A more competitive miss that time from Van Senna, but a ball nonetheless, and it's 1-0. Brickhouse led off the 4-run third for Bourne with a single the other way. Worked a really nice at-bat against Jason Billis. That was really the beginning of the end for Mr. Billis today. Here's the 1-0 from Van Senna out of the stretch. Brickhouse swings and fouls a good breaking ball off the chest protector of Thomas Dillard. It's 1-1. Brickhouse was the usual cleanup hitter for ECU this season. He hit in the 5-hole as well at times. Good season for East Carolina. They made it all the way to the American Championship game before losing to Houston. 1-1 breaking ball breaks too much through the zone. It misses inside and low. It's 2-1. As fate would have it, a Houston Cougar waiting in the on-deck circle. That's Jared Triolo. The 2-1, Brown bluffs it first. He doesn't go. The ball grounded to Begras, who goes to Cone at second for 1. On to first, not in time. Begras fielded that sharply hit ground ball, threw to Zach Cone, and then raced back to the bag to receive the throw from Cone. Brickhouse beats it out. A fielder's choice, score at 3-6. And Spencer Brickhouse replaces his college teammate Brown at first. It brings up Triolo.
It was a good play, all things considered there by Begras, and we've seen Begras make a couple nice plays in this game already. I guess he could have tried to step on the bag. He was really close to the bag and then try to go to second and tag out Turner Brown. Brown is quick, and as you mentioned, he had bluffed a start to second, so he already had a decent enough secondary lead. But still some options there for Begras, but I think he made the right play.
First pitch breaking ball into Triolo outside corner, strike 1. Do you have a strong opinion on that play? If you're that close to the base, just tag first, and then it creates a tag-out situation at second?
I don't have a strong one, but I guess I prefer my first baseman to go to second, no matter how close he is, unless he's standing right on top of the bag.
Here's the 0-1 from Van Senna. It's a fastball that's skied out of play down the first base line, 0-2.
I guess I'll sound a little hypocritical by saying that because I brought the situation up in the first place, but my experience, I guess, watching baseball over the years is that the most talented first basemen defensively are those who are regarded as the most talented, for that matter, try to step on the bag at first and then go to second. It's also dependent on who's covering for you.
A lot of factors in play if you do decide to step on the first base bag first. Here's the 0-2 from Vancina. Swung on and fouled off the mid of Dillard to the backstop.
What about you? You have a strong opinion on that play?
I don't think I do, no. I would be surprised if many people who've been around baseball much longer than us had a strong opinion on that play. It really is situational. Depends on just how close you are to that first base bag, and I think it comes down to really a matter of inches, a matter of feet sometimes. Depends on the guy going from first to second. Depends on how good your shortstop / second baseman is at tagging. As the 0-2 fouled again down the right field line. McGrath over to have a look, but that ball into the shrubbery. And it remains 0-2 on Triolo.
Here's an interesting dynamic that sometimes comes into play on that play, although this obviously wasn't the case here. Every now and then you'll have first and third. It seems like Cotuit has had every other inning this season so far. Every now and then you'll have runners on first and third with one out. And if you can't complete the double play, and the third baseman the runner at third comes down the line, there sometimes will no longer be a force if you touch the bag, and thus the runner coming down the line can score, and if he crosses the plate before the tag at second, the run would count.
The 0-2 into Triolo, swung on and missed, strike three. He got a foul tip that time, but the result the same. It's a swinging strikeout for Jared Triolo. 2 gone now in the fourth, bringing up Labounty.
So I guess in that situation, if you're the first baseman, just to finish off just a little bit elongated point, you'd have to consider whether or not you want to keep the force in order, because that affects the runner coming down the line at third. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah. I think that's a whole other situation. I think you should always throw to second first in that situation, as long as you've already steered the guy at third back to the bag, so he's not breaking toward the plate. First pitch breaking ball blocked by Dillard in the dirt, 1-0.
Obviously moot because there was no runner on third, but we will see it again, Will.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
And we will remember this conversation on a fateful Tuesday afternoon at Lowell Park. Forever and always. Labounty 0-for-0 with a walk, swings through a 1-0 fastball. Count now 1-1 on the South Alabama Jaguar. Labounty squared to bunt a couple times against Jason Billis back in the third. Didn't get too many good pitches to hit. Eventually wound up in a full count and then took ball 4. It was a big part of that rally for the Bourne Braves in that 4-run third. We're tied at 4 if you're just joining us here in the top of the fourth. As Vancina kicks and delivers a 1-1 that gets by Dillard to the backstop, allowing the runner at first, Brickhouse, to coast over to second base. It's at least wild pitch number 3, if my math's correct, Matt. 2 from Billis, now 1 from Vancina.
Math is correct. That's 3.
And Brickhouse in scoring position with 2 outs. Appreciate that. Martellini, obviously the everyday catcher for Mike Roberts. Maybe not so obviously if you haven't tuned in too much this season.
What was the math there? 1 + 1 + 1?
That was it. And it checks out. The 2-1 from Vancina, a breaking ball that gets the inner half as Drew Labounty stares back and says, really, Mark Lima, you're going to call that a strike? He does, and the count now even at 2-2 with 2 outs here in the fourth. Labounty 5'8", a .308 average in his redshirt junior season for USA. Pretty patriotic abbreviation for that school, as the 2-2 popped into right field, where it's caught by Griffin Conine on a couple steps in for out number 3. So the Bourne Braves threaten in their half of the fourth. They get Brickhouse to second, but they cannot score. And after 3.5 innings of play from Lowell Park, we're knotted at 4, Cotuit and Bourne, on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back in Cotuit, Massachusetts, Lowell Park to be exact, if you haven't figured that out yet. 4-4 ball game, Bourne and Cotuit going at it. A couple of West Division rivals on this early mid-June Tuesday evening on beautiful Cape Cod. Joined by Matt Rigby, I'm Will Greer. Thanks for joining us on this early evening. 8-9-1 due up for Cotuit against Sean Leland, the Louisville Cardinal reliever, in this 4-4 tie, as Michigan taking on Illinois for the second time in Mr. Leland's day. And Michigan, Akeo Thomas, looks at a first pitch fastball that gets the outer half. It's strike one. Mentioned this last night on the broadcast, Matt, as Thomas, who's 0 for 0 with a sacrifice bunt, looks at an 0-1 breaking ball that gets the outer half. It's 0-2. Nick Rand, the UMass Lowell Riverhawk, believe we were seeing him for the second time because he was also on Cape Cod last year. I want to say Sean Leland was also on Cape Cod a summer ago.
He was.
Just from memory, as the 0-2 breaking ball in the dirt blocked by Lynn. It's 1-2.
He was, and I was going to remark on this when Leland came into the game, but admittedly I had not been paying the closest attention to what you said, and I didn't want to say something you already had. But yes, you and I had the same thought, and that is that Leland, as a Louisville Cardinal, was on the Cape last year.
The 1-2 into Thomas. Fastball swung on and fouled out of play back behind the Bourne dugout down the first base line, 1-2.
I suppose at that time he knew he was going to be a Fighting Illini. I'm trying to pull up the numbers. I believe he was a Bourne Brave. Check on that for sure.
The powers of the internet. The 1-2 laced to the second baseman Brown, who backtracks a couple steps into the shallow outfield area in right field and gloves for out number one. So Thomas now officially 0 for 1. Makes some pretty good contact that time, but not hit hard enough to get past the second baseman Turner Brown. And the 9-hitter Dillard comes up with one out here in the fourth. I'm told we'll have an answer on Sean Leland any moment, as Dillard looks at a first pitch fastball that gets the outer half. Quite a generous outside corner from Mark Lima this afternoon. It's 0-1. Leland working confidently, working quickly, kicks and delivers an 0-1 breaking ball that skips into the mid of Lyle Lynn. 1-1 now the count. Thomas Dillard so far 1 for 1, a single. He was retired on the double play off the bat of Conine back in the second. He checks his swing at a 1-1 changeup, and he does go around, says Mark Lima. 1-2 now the count. Thomas 1 for 5 last night at Chatham with a pair of strikeouts, as Leland kicks and delivers a 1-2 fastball that misses just outside. Framed that time, held for a few extra seconds by Lyle Lynn, but no strike three call comes, and the count even at 2-2. Infield outfield at normal depth and positioning, as the 2-2 from Leland swung through, strike three. Curveball that time, 77 miles an hour, and Dillard swings through it for out number 2. Bringing up the top of the order, and Griffin Conine.
Sean Leland appeared in 7 games last year on the Cape, all of which were in a Bourne Braves uniform. So I was right there. 16 innings pitched, gave up 7 earned runs, struck out 14, walked 3, finished with a 3.93 ERA.
Conine from the left side looks at a first pitch fastball on the outer half for strike one.
It's amazing the things you forget when somebody simply switches colleges, right?
I know, right? That was my thought exactly. It's also amazing to me is the 0-1 into Conine, swung through, strike two. Maybe this doesn't apply too much because Sean Leland pitched 40 innings his freshman season at Louisville, but perhaps this was because of injury. I must admit that I haven't done the requisite research. He only pitched 8 1/3 innings in his sophomore season, as the 0-2 into Conine misses outside 1-2. But then he comes up to Cape Cod and dazzles like that, man. And I think it just kind of speaks to the decision to go to a school like Louisville when you know there are going to be so many other arms in that bullpen in that starting rotation. The 1-2 into Conine swung on and laced into the right center field hole for a base hit. Witherspoon, the right fielder, over, cuts it off. A 2-out single for Griffin Conine, who picks up his first base knock of the ball game. He's at first with 2 outs for Genista.
Sure, this wasn't part of his ultimate consideration at all, Will, but he also wouldn't be up here right now if he were a Louisville Cardinal, because Louisville's still in Omaha, playing in the College World Series tonight, hosting Florida. Hosting an operative term, I suppose. They are the home team, but that's in Omaha at the College World Series. Again, I don't think he picked his school based on whether or not he could return to Cape Cod, but it is an added benefit for both him and the Bourne Braves.
Genista, the batter from the left side, looks at a first pitch fastball on the outer half, 0-1.
Saw a lot of Louisville Cardinals up here last summer. They didn't make quite as deep a run, but those same kids that were here last summer helping to fuel the Cardinals to a really good season this year.
The 0-1 from Leland, swung on, chopped to the second baseman Brown, who coasts over and flips to LaBounty, covering at second for out number 3. The Kettleers get a 2-out single from Griffin Conine. They leave none, they score none. And we're through 4 innings of play from Lowell Park now. We're still deadlocked at 4. Cotuit and Bourne doing battle on this Tuesday afternoon on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, a good baseball game on our hands as we head to the 5th. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you, and Adam Scott, the third pitcher of the afternoon, early evening. Again, whatever you want to call it for the Kettleers, is on the mound. Meeting with Thomas Dillard now. Top of the order due up for Bourne. And here to take you through inning number 5, Matt Rigby.
All right, thanks, Will. We last saw Adam Scott very fittingly on U.S. Open Championship Sunday here at Lowell Park. It was not the golfer Adam Scott that we laid our eyes upon. It was indeed this Wofford lefty. In that game, Scott went an inning and 2/3, gave up 4 hits and 1 earned run, as Cotuit ultimately beat Brewster in 8 innings, 4-3. First pitch of inning number 5 is over for a strike on the outside corner to Jamison Hanna. Hanna 1 for 1. He's reached base twice and scored a run. Singled in the first, walked in the third. A 1 misses low and away. Breaking ball skipped in there from Scott, and it's 1-1. Scott's the guy, if you'll recall, who struck out 17 batters in a game this season for Wofford. The 1-1, looping breaking ball that Hanna waits on, but skies it into straightaway center, where with a beat is Genista, and he makes the catch, 1 away. And it wasn't against any slouch. The Pitt Panthers struck out 17 times at the plate against Scott on that faithful March 3rd. And I mentioned this on Sunday, but it bears worth repeating. Adam Scott posted double-digit strikeouts in a game 4 times in 2017. Here's Richie Palacios now. First pitch to Palacios. Fastball, first strike, changeup rather. 80 miles an hour on the outside corner, and it's 0-1. This is the Adam Scott that we saw on Sunday, and it's the Adam Scott that was previewed to us. The 0-1, another breaking ball, another swing and a miss, 0-2, and that is a strike thrower. He is all over the plate, and while that does result in a lot of strikeouts, it results in quite a high average against as well. The 0-2, good fastball right on the outside corner, ring him up. says home plate umpire Mark Lima. Richie Palacios is down on strikes, and there's quickly 2 away. That batting average against in 2017 for Adam Scott, .290. As he allowed 104 hits in 93 1/3 innings pitched. Also struggled with the home run ball, 9 home runs in 93 1/3. Again, that's a product of being all over the plate. First pitch to Lyle Lynn, standing in now, another strike on the outside corner, and it's 0-1. 7 pitches so far for Scott, 6 strikes, 1 ball. The theme continues. The 0-1 to Lynn. Grounded towards short. Cone circles it, scoops it, and fires it onto first in time for a quick 1-2-3 inning. Only 8 pitches for Adam Scott to set the Braves down in order. We're through 4.5 at Lowell Park. Still tied at 4 on the Cotuit Kettleers Radio Network. Back at Lowell Park, where we want to remind you that the Cape Cod Baseball League is brought to you, as always, by the Chatham Bars Inn Resort and Spa. Visit the Sacred Cod Tavern at Chatham Bars Inn Resort and Spa, a quintessential New England dining experience for lunch or dinner, and a proud member of leading hotels of the world. Matt Rigby, alongside Will Greer, back with you here in Cotuit. 4-4 the score as we are halfway home. I hesitate as I say halfway home because, again, there are no lights here at Lowell Park, something that I'm sure if you have listened to Kettleers games with us through the first 5, you are getting used to by now. And given that the pace of this game has been a little slow, we might not actually get 9 in. And also given that we are tied, we might not actually get 9 in. But that's a developing story to keep track of as we move forward. And for now, the more pressing matters at hand are the fact that the Kettleers are going to try and break this tie as they bat here in the bottom of the 5th. Leading off in the bottom of the 5th, it'll be Luke Alexander. 3, 4, and 5 due up for Cotuit. Trio of righties, Alexander, Cresto, and Cone against the new pitcher for the Bourne Braves, Daniel Bees, the tall righty out of Gonzaga University. First pitch to Alexander, big rip and a miss, 0-1 at an 89-mile-an-hour fastball out of the right hand of Bees. Almost said University of Gonzaga. Would have gotten some hate mail from Spokane. That's where they're at, right?
Yes, yeah.
The 0-1, chopped towards third. Circling it is Triolo. He makes the scoop and fires onto first. 1 away.
They're nice people out there. All the
still salty
Gonzaga people I've met have been very, very friendly.
Still bitter. couldn't get the job done, Will.
They were so close, though. They represented their tiny Jesuit university so well on a national stage. Counts for something, right?
Gonzaga baseball had a really good year as well. We were talking about this the other night when I screwed up some of the conferences on the West Coast. John Cresto, who's standing in now, takes a swing and a foul ball, back off the screen. Cresto was the inception of that fateful conversation or fateful comment from me. But anyway, I'll try again. Big West for Gonzaga?
No.
No. the 0-1 fouled off, nothing in 2. West Coast?
West Coast.
Oh, my goodness.
One of the two.
When am I going to get this straight? West Coast runners-up were the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They finished second to the BYU Cougars. And a lot of people felt that Gonzaga got snubbed from an NCAA tournament berth. The 0-2 to Cresto popped up just outside the infield. Actually, it'll fade a little bit further back into right field. Witherspoon has it measured. And he makes the catch. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, go ahead and give you an out-of-town scoreboard, and we'll start in Omaha. Why not? College World Series going on. TCU defeated Texas A&M earlier today, which means the Aggies have been eliminated and the Froggies stay alive. And in the winner's bracket in Omaha, the aforementioned matchup tonight, Florida and Louisville at TD Ameritrade. First pitch to Zach Cohn, who's had a big afternoon so far. Breaking ball that misses inside and Cohn lays off. It's 1-0. Cohn 2 for 2, 3 driven in. 2-run single in the first and an RBI single in the third. Watches the 1-0. It's a fastball at the knees for a strike, 1-1. The out-of-town scoreboards in the Cape League, or the out-of-town scoreboard in the Cape League, which you're probably more concerned with. YD sticking it to Brewster at Red Wilson Field tonight. 1-1 fouled off by Cohn. It's 1-2. That game's in the bottom of the fourth. And the Red Sox have already put up a 7 spot. Ryan Avadano was the starter for the Whitecaps in that game. He didn't last long. Starter for the Red Sox was unannounced this morning. So we'll have to go comb the box score later. The 1-2. Grounded to the hole, left side, and that'll get through. A seeing eye single for Zach Cohn. When you're living right, you're living right. As Cohn's now 3 for 3 with a trio of singles here tonight.
How did the Duke Blue Devils not win more baseball games? Maybe Cotuit got the 2 best Duke players this summer, because Griffin Conan and Zach Cohn, that combination has been so lethal for Cotuit. And it doesn't look like either guy is slowing down anytime soon. Sharp contact just about every at-bat for both guys, and their averages continue to skyrocket.
Well, you're in luck, Will, because I asked myself the exact same question when I was doing preparation for the season. I think I have an answer, as the first pitch to Miles Lewis is a fastball for a strike on the outside corner.
This is why we're a team.
That's right. Zach Cohn and Griffin Conine were definitely the 2 best hitters for Duke this year. There was another pretty good hitter in the Blue Devils lineup. That was Jimmy Herron, who is up on the Cape this summer. The 0-1 lifted towards the left side, moving over the left fielder McCray, but he'll watch that fall foul, 0-2. But really, the problem with Duke all year is that they didn't have any protection in the lineup outside of those 3, or they didn't have any threats in the lineup to protect those 3, would be the better way to say it. And I wrote down in my notes, and I think this is worth mentioning, that it makes what Cohn and Conine did at school this year all the more impressive. The 0-2 on the outside corner, strike 3, ring up Miles Lewis, and bring it in to the bottom of the 5th. The Kettleers get a hit. A 2-out single from Zach Cohn, but nothing else. They leave Cohn at first. And with the score still 4-4 at Lowell Park, we'll move to the 6th on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Moving right along here from Lowell Park, we head to inning number 6. Adam Scott back on the mound in a 4-4 game. Due up in the top of the 6 for the Bourne Braves, 4, 5, and 6. Witherspoon, McCray, and Brown. And now here to take you through innings 6 and 7, my broadcast partner, Will Greer.
Thank you very much, Matt Rigby, as Mike Roberts makes his way out of the third base dugout and has a conversation with home plate umpire Mark Lima. It's now the second time this has happened this season, and the second time it leaves at least me, Matt, wondering why this conversation did not take place in between innings. Mr. Lima looked a little bit perturbed when Mr. Roberts came out of the third base dugout, but they're talking about something pretty intently. About 10 feet away from home plate is Thomas Dillard stalling. Good chance for a Tulane guy and an Ole Miss guy to get to know each other. That's Dillard and Witherspoon.
I want to offer a defense for Mike Roberts here, and it might not be a solid one, but as far as we know, there's no direct bench coach for the Kettleers.
True.
There's probably not a bench coach on most of the coaching staffs throughout the Cape League, and typically when you're going to navigate or move around some players in the innings to come, that's the bench coach's responsibility. It's his responsibility to comb over the changes that need to be made and then run it by the manager, and ultimately the manager just goes out in between innings and delivers those changes to the umpire. If Mike Roberts has to do all that in between innings, sometimes it might take him the full duration.
Sure.
I'm kind of with you that you'd think it would happen in between innings, but he's got the allotted time. He took the allotted time, and he still got it in under the gun, as we still are not quite sure what's going on here at Lowell Park now that home plate umpire Mark Lima is up the third base line talking to Bourne manager Harvey Shapiro.
4-4 is our score. Mike Roberts chatted with home plate umpire Mark Lima, and then Harvey Shapiro, unwilling to move out of his third base box down the third base line, kind of gave Mark Lima a finger and said, "Come talk to me, Mr. Lima," and that's exactly what Mark did.
Not that finger.
Not that finger, an index finger, motioning for him to come this way, or else Harvey Shapiro would be making his way back to Bourne, Massachusetts right now.
Haven't seen that yet in 2 summers. Haven't seen anyone tossed, have we? In a game we've
We
been
might have
at.
seen one last summer. Have to check. The batter Witherspoon, lefty-lefty matchup, and Grant fouls a first pitch fastball from Adam Scott out of play down the first base line. Believe we never got an official announcement from Mark Lima, but from my eyes, it looks like Luke Alexander, the third baseman, has moved over to second as Scott delivers an 0-1 breaking ball that swung through, strike 2. It looks like John Cresto, who was doing the DHing, has taken over for Alexander at third. So that would mean a K.O. Thomas's day is done, and I don't see a K.O. out there, so going to believe that that's exactly what happened. 0-2 fastball misses just outside, so the count now 1-2 on the batter Witherspoon, who so far today is 1 for 2 with a bases clearing 3-run double back in the third. Scott out of the windup delivers a 1-2 curveball that swung through for strike 3. In the dirt, blocked by Dillard, who now throws down to Mitch Begras for out number 1. The second strikeout already for Adam Scott, and it brings up Logan McCray, the College of Charleston Cougar, who will bat from the right side against Adam Scott. So again, just to update everything, Akeo Thomas out of the game, Luke Alexander over to second, and John Cresto over to third. The first pitch into McCray, a fastball that misses low. It's 1-0. Logan McCray so far today 0 for 2, a ground out in the second, a pop-up in the third. It's a guy that just finished up his redshirt sophomore season in Charleston, South Carolina. One of the most underrated cities in America by my math, as the 1-0 fastball outside corner, strike 1. And a guy that almost quit playing baseball at Charleston. We mentioned this on opening night, but we understand that we had some technical difficulties. So this story worth repeating, I believe, is the 1-1. Another fastball from Scott. Again, it swung through, and it's 1-2 now on McCray. McCray redshirted his first season at Charleston. Then in his sophomore season, his freshman season, I should say, after the redshirt, had a really poor season. As the 1-2, fastball misses low, 2-2 now the count. So the head coach at Charleston has an end-of-year meeting with every player on the team, and he said he was very close to cutting Logan McCray before McCray's end-of-year meeting. McCray came into the office. The head coach at Charleston said, "You can either transfer or figure something out in a hurry." As the 2-2 flown into right field, it holds up, hangs up, I should say, for Griffin Conine, who gloves near his shoestrings for out number 2. So McCray left the office. He thought about it for about a week, he said in an article, and eventually decided he would fix something. The quote from the College of Charleston manager, whose name escapes me, is that Logan was really timid in his first season, and then he became not so timid, started swinging early in the count, started being aggressive at the plate, and he found his stroke all the way to an All-CAA first-team nomination after his redshirt sophomore season. Turner Brown, the batter, looks at strike 1 from Scott on the outer half. What a story for Logan McCray if he's able to parlay that into a potential major league career. Already impressive that he's up on Cape Cod. The 0-1 line into left field, gets down for a base hit. Cut off by the center fielder, Ginnis does. Brown takes a mighty wide turn at first, but now thinks better of it. Heads back to first base. 2-out single for Turner Brown, bringing up Brickhouse. Just to reiterate, and then I promise I'll stop talking about Logan McCray. Almost quit the team at Charleston. Almost quit playing baseball altogether. And transferred. Almost. That's the key word. But in his redshirt sophomore season, hit .310, 17 home runs, 63 runs batted in. Those 17 homers finished second in the CAA. Just an awesome redshirt sophomore season. First pitch swinging his Brickhouse. He lifts it out into pretty deep left field, but it's playable for Lewis, who gloves a couple steps in front of the warning track for out number 3. The Bourne Braves get a 2-out single from Turner Brown. They cannot score in their half of the 6th. And we'll head to the bottom half of the 6th inning to play from Lowell Park. We're still tied at 4 on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, a 4-4 tie as we head to the bottom of the 6th, the bottom third of the lineup coming up for the Kettleers here in the bottom of the 6th. The first batter, which will face Daniel Bees, the righty out of Gonzaga, will be Mitch Begras, who's 0 for 1 today, a walk as well as a ground out, as Begras stands in and looks at a first pitch fastball on the outer half at 87 miles an hour for strike 1. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you. Cotuit trying to string together a couple base hits and try to break through here in the 6th inning of this one. 0-1, a generous strike call on the outer half from Mark Lima. It's 0-2. Pinch hitter in the on-deck circle for Cotuit, number 49. As I comb down the roster, that looks like it's Adam Scott, who's going to hit for himself. 0-2 breaking ball in the dirt, taken by Begras. It's 1-2.
Kettleers forfeited the DH, so it's now a 9-man lineup. I'm a little surprised that Scott's going to hit for himself.
I don't have here that Scott hit in his junior season at Wofford.
But this is what happens when you have 3 men on the bench, one of which we're still not sure can hit fully.
That being Daniel Gardner, who was 0 for 1 last night. 1-2 fastball. Misses up and away to Begras. It's 2-2.
And this is also what happens when you have a taxed bullpen and a starter that didn't go too long.
Just doesn't make a ton of sense to me that you would make that defensive substitution in the last half inning. You didn't have to do that. DH, of course, on Cape Cod is the 2-2 fouled out of play down the left field line.
It's the second straight night that the Kettleers have done it, right?
Yeah.
I wondered immediately if there was something wrong with the K.O. Thomas. I tried to think of every play he was involved in and every swing he took. I didn't have a memory that was that good, obviously, but nothing stood out to me when I jogged it.
Here's the 2-2 breaking ball, gets the outside corner, strike 3. Seen a lot of hitters today not be too happy with Mark Lima after being rung up, but at least he's been consistent. That outer strike call has been there all day, and Begros goes down without a swing. Bringing up Adam Scott, the pitcher.
Some National League baseball here at Lowell Park,
Absolutely. Huh? Mike Roberts, a guy affiliated with the Cubs. Seeing the pitcher hit here, that's Scott. He looks at a first pitch fastball right over the heart of the zone. 93 miles an hour from Bees, it's 0-1. I think he has the 8-iron in the bag. Just loop one into the shallow outfield area right now if you're Scott. I wonder if he's been given the green light to swing the bat at all.
I would imagine no.
Breaking ball gets the outer half, 0-2.
It's a good way to get hurt, man.
Yeah. You see relievers all the time at the major league level. Just go up there and take 3 straight pitches. We'll see if Scott does that here. The 0-2 from Bees. Fastball misses outside. A ball taken by Adam Scott. A successful plate appearance. The count 1-2.
He's giving it to you, Daniel. Oh, right down the middle.
Scott at least looks confident in the left side, dangling the bat, awaits the 1-2. A fastball that misses low, and now some chirping from the Cotuit dugout down the third base line. Adam Scott with a bit of a grin on his face, but he's trying to stay cool, calm, and collected in the left side. 4-4 ball game, 1 out in the 6th. As steps off. A little bit flustered out there, maybe, Matt.
Apologies, Will. I just got the 8-iron joke. A little delayed.
I shouldn't have made it. We joked enough on Sunday in the doubleheader. 2-2 fastball outside corner, strike 3, and I think our hypothesis was correct. Adam Scott looked like he didn't want to swing the bat that time. May have as well been dangling an invisible bat in the left side of the batter's box. So there are 2 out, both on the looking strikeout for Daniel Bees, and Thomas Dillard, the 9-hitter, coming up.
I'm well aware that the speculation is the root of all evil, especially in sports, but let's just play with the idea for a second that a K.O. Thomas did indeed leave this game injured.
Dillard swings at a first pitch fastball and fouls it back.
Kettleers are already down Terran Vavra. You and I were discussing yesterday that I guess it's at least a possibility that Vavra's summer would be done altogether. We were told that he was at least done for 7 days after taking a ground ball to the face on opening night in Bourne.
Here's the 0-1 from Bees, swung on and chopped up the middle. Turner Brown ranges over, sets his feet, and throws to the first baseman Brickhouse in time for out number 3. Finish up that point.
Vavra a middle infielder, Thomas a middle infielder as well. If you lose 2 of those in the first 6 games of the season, desperate times, desperate measures ahead.
The good news, Cotuit 4-1. They're just a couple innings away from being 5-1 if they're able to mount a rally in the late innings of this one. We're through 6, though, for now. We're tied at 4 between Bourne and Cotuit on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network.
Look at our people here. Look at our people. Look at our people. There you go, Shannon. There you go, Shannon. Should have went the other way with that order of operation.
Four to 4 our scores. We're moving right along in Game 6 of the summer from Lowell Park. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you. Adam Scott, after hitting in the last half inning, back out onto the mound as we expected. And he'll face righty, lefty, 8-9-1, Triolo Labounty Hanna. As Bourne trying to mount something here in their half of the 7th. They struck for all 4 runs today in their half of the 3rd inning. 4 runs, 5 hits, 1 error for Bourne. 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Cotuit. The defense continues to be sparkling for Mike Roberts' squad. Just 1 error committed in the first 5+ games in this season. First pitch from Scott in the dirt, blocked by Dillard, and it might have gotten a piece of Jared Triolo that time. Count 1-0 as Dillard heads out to the mound. Maybe some sign confusion that time. Didn't look like Thomas Dillard was expecting a breaking ball. Triolo steps out, spits on one of his batting gloves, rubs that spit right off, and now steps back in as Mark Lima says play ball to Adam Scott, the pitcher, who stares in. It's like he's almost squinting, trying to get the sign from Dillard. Now goes through his delivery and delivers a 1-0 fastball, 88 miles an hour, that misses inside for ball 2.
You know, the defensive narrative is something we haven't really talked about much, but it is really starting to have enough of a sample size to be a story.
Here's the 2-0 into Triolo, fastball inside, 3-0.
I'll use last year's stats to help tell the story. Last year, Cotuit finished tied for the 3rd most errors in the entire Cape League with 57 in 44 games. As you mentioned, Will, they've only got 1 through the first 5 and change.
The 3-0, a fastball right over the middle. Taking all the way that time was Triolo, 90 miles an hour. 3-1 the count. We saw a 6-error game, I believe, from Cotuit when they were matched up with Harwich as the 3-1. Triolo breaks his bat. He ends up just about 4 feet of that bat in the knob area. The rest of the lumber goes flying back to the backstop. Fortunately, no one injured that time as the Bourne bat boy picks up the wood. Triolo back to get a new bat in the first base dugout. If you look around, I mean, there are really good defenders on this team, just looking left to right across the defense right now for Cotuit. Ginista's played a fine center field. Conine's played a good right field. K.O. Thomas, quite talented at second. Zach Cohn, who had some high error numbers in his sophomore season at Duke, has played a really nice shortstop so far. McGrath's a talented first baseman. As the 3-2 swung on and sent up the middle, Cone fields, range to his left, does not make a throw with the speedy Triolo running down the first base line. A 2-for-3 day now for Jared Triolo, a pair of singles. And Drew LaBounty, the South Alabama Jaguar, coming up. This team profiles on paper as a really nice defensive team, a really fundamental defensive team. And they've been just that so far. A big reason why Cotuit has started the season 4-1 and has a really good chance to continue their winning ways and become 5-1 on this Tuesday early evening against Bourne. Scott delivers a first pitch fastball that misses high into Drew LaBounty, who showed bunt but pulled his bat back before that fastball missed high. We saw Drew LaBounty show bunt a number of times in his first plate appearance back in the 3rd. Never got one down. He walked instead and was a big part of that 4-1 rally. The 1-0 foul back to the screen. A fastball at 88 miles an hour that time, and the count now 1-1. Jamison Hanna is on deck. Richie Palacios in the hole. 3 straight guys for the Bourne Braves, including LaBounty, who profile as leadoff guys. High average, high contact hitters. No outs here in the 7th. The 1-1, he shows bunt. Scott dives, makes the play. What a play by Adam Scott, fielding his position. He jumped right off the pitching mound, dove full extension toward the home plate umpire, and swept that ball right off of the grass for out number 1.
You're right, what a play by Scott, what a play by Jared Triolo as well, to not take off a little bit too early. You wouldn't have blamed Triolo if he would have done so, because I think off the bat it certainly looked like it was going to fall, but Triolo noticed that it was hanging up just enough for Scott to at least have a chance. Because of that, Triolo doesn't get doubled off.
A fine defensive play by Scott, who doesn't necessarily profile as a great defender, as the first pitch into Hanna, a breaking ball that never broke, taken right off the helmet. Jamison Hanna, a good sport about it. He just trots on down to first base. As Mark Lima calls for more baseballs from the Cotuit bat boy. So 2 on now for the Braves, just 1 out here in the 7th. And Palacios coming up.
A pair of righties warming in the Cotuit pen, Will. I would think that this is an ideal spot for Zane Collins. the lefty out of the Cotuit pen. You've got a lefty due up in Richie Palacios, then a righty Lynn, and then another lefty Witherspoon. But the bigger part of this equation is that Zane Collins is a sinker ball pitcher, and Cotuit's in a spot here with 2 on, 1 out, tie game top 7, where a ground ball would be exactly what the doctor ordered.
Pinch hitter comes up for Bourne. It's Kevin Radzewicz, the Fairfield University Stag, 5'9", 180 pounds. Just 0 for 3 so far in this 2017 summer. Has played in just 1 game. But looks like a guy who has some speed. Maybe a guy who can lay down a bunt as well for Harvey Shapiro. 2 on, 1 out here in the 7th. Radzewicz doesn't bunt. Instead he swings away and fouls a first pitch fastball out of play down the right field line. It's 0-1.
And I guess Harvey Shapiro was thinking along with us because he takes Palacios out of the game for a more favorable righty-lefty matchup.
Palacios' day done at 0 for 3 with a pair of looking Ks.
Still, I would take the sinking fastball from Zane Collins if I could get it here.
Wonder if Collins is available. He wasn't listed, was he, on Mike Roberts' available pitchers? But then again, we saw a guy not available pitch the other night at Chatham as Scott spins and gets the runner at second, Triolo, to dive back.
When Keaton Gibson came into the game at Veterans Field last night, I officially took note to ignore the available pitchers list on the dugout wall.
Radzewicz in his sophomore season at Fairfield, a .315 average. 44 runs batted in. He looks at an 0-1 fastball that misses just outside. 1-1 now the count. You have to think that if Radzewicz reaches here, the day could be done for Adam Scott. 1-1 fastball misses just outside once again. 91 miles an hour that time, and the count now 2 balls, 1 strike on Kevin Radzewicz. Triolo with good speed at second base. Jamison Hanna even better speed at first. Infield at normal depth and positioning as now Cresto creeps onto the infield grass. 4-4 tie, top of the 7th. Scott kicks and deals the 2-1. It's fouled back to the screen. Another fastball, a heavy dose of fastballs from Adam Scott. And the count even at 2-2 on Radzewicz, who batting without batting gloves, scoops up some dirt, rubs it on his hands, gets the signs from Shapiro, and now steps back in.
That fastball was up. I think Scott missed his spot all the way there. Radzewicz took a home run cut and came up just empty.
Big spot in this baseball game. Feels like something's going to give any second. Scott kicks and deals the 2-2. Swung through, strike 3. Our first base umpire on appeal, however, that's Luis De Luis, says that Radzewicz did not go around. Matt, that didn't even look close from our vantage point back behind the backstop. Thought he all the way checked his swing as Mike Roberts out of the third base dugout. And Mr. Roberts not too pleased with De Luis right now. That's a strikeout, and you know it. The audio from Mr. Roberts. And now a warning from Mark Lima, who says you cannot protest balls and strikes, Mr. Roberts. But Mike Roberts simply that time protesting the check swing. That's not really a ball strike protest at all. As Mark Lima jots down in his book. This is warning number 1 for Mr. Roberts. Kind of like a teacher jotting down that Mike Roberts 1 demerit away from detention.
Yellow card, Mr. Roberts, yellow card.
Play paused. Radzewicz can't see his face right now. His back turned to us, but have to imagine somewhat of a grin on Radzewicz's face. He's given new life here.
He knows what he got away with.
Yeah. Thought it wasn't even close, and it was a late appeal from home plate umpire Mark Lima. Luis De Luis giving the call that time from first base. As now Scott comes set, another pitch coming, the 3-2 delivery, swung on in line, foul ball. Foul ball down the left field line, and you have to think that if that ball had landed fair, Mike Roberts would have perhaps lost his mind, but the baseball gods always watching, and they perhaps reward Cotuit at that time. It's just a loud strike, and the count 3-2 on Radzewicz.
You buy that theory that after you argue a questionable call, if you're a manager and you don't win, that if the next thing that happens is bad against you, that you're almost automatically thrown out of the game because you're just going to get your money's worth at that
I
point.
think if we went back and looked through the annals, it would be high probability that that would happen. 3-2 fastball misses outside, perhaps high as well. So Razowich with a not so well-earned walk perhaps reaches first that time. The bases loaded for one of the hottest hitters early on in 2017. Lyle Lynn coming up. We'll see if Roberts makes a change. Doesn't look like he will, but Mike Roberts, the master of the late walk out to the mound, and the master showing why he's called the master right now. No, he steps back into the dugout. It will be Scott V. Lynn, as Roberts still on the top step, kind of bluffing that he's going to make a play here. As Scott comes set, Roberts still on the field. Scott delivers a first pitch fastball that misses upstairs, outside as well. It's 1-0 on Lynn.
I think he just wanted to bring the infield in, which, I got to be honest, does not make a lot of sense to me with a force at every plate, or a force at every base, rather.
And now Mike Roberts makes his way out to the mound, has a parting shot with Mark Lima on his way. Looks like Scott's day is done. A couple righties warming, as Matt alluded to, in the Cotuit bullpen, but Mr. Roberts going to take his sweet time out there until Mark Lima forces him to come back to the dugout or make a change. 4-4 ball game, bases full of Braves here in the 7th. A 1-0 count on Lyle Lynn with 1 out. Olenfield converging with Mike Roberts right now up on the pitching mound. I'm surprised Mark Lima has been willing to wait as long as he has. He now makes his way slowly out to the mound, Matt.
He's not a confrontationalist. He knows what's coming when he goes to talk with Mike Roberts.
As now, almost with eyes in the back of his head, Mike Roberts, as soon as Mark Lima reached the mound, turned away. And now Mike Roberts, who had already made his way back toward the Cotuit dugout, back out to the mound. Mark Lima looks back, sees that Mike Roberts making his way back, and kind of just shrugs and says, okay, Mike, if you're going to play that game, go right ahead.
It's Mike's world, Will.
It's Mike's world that we're all living in. New reliever coming in for Cotuit, a 4-4 tie with 1 out in the 7th. Bases full of Braves, as we'll have more information on the new pitcher after a quick break on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park on this Tuesday early evening, kind of mid-evening now at 7:09 p.m. Not sure if we're going to get all 9 innings in today because this game has really gone on here, especially in this top of the 7th. The bases are full of Bourne Braves, just 1 out as Chase Sugart coming on. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you. Sugart making his 2nd appearance of the summer. a very successful season opener for Sugar against the Brewster Whitecaps. Went an inning and 2/3, got a save, gave up a hit, struck out a batter, but was really good. Infield still in for Cotuit, just as it was before the first pitch of the at-bat into Lyle Lynn. It is a 1-0 count. Mike Roberts pulling Adam Scott behind in the count 1-0. As the 1-0, Lynn checks his swing, but it doesn't matter because the 1-0 at 96 miles an hour. A fastball called strike one.
Some giddy up from Chase Sugar. You could feel all 96 of that.
High intensity, high leverage situation here. The 1-1, fastball, 93 miles an hour. Swung through for strike two. Lynn 0 for 3 today, grounded into a double play, a pop-up as well as another ground out back in the 5th. Came into this one near the league lead in average at 500. He was 6 for 12 coming in, 6 for 15 now. Sugar comes set, kicks and delivers the 1-2. Swung on and chopped to the left side, stays fair. No, it trickles foul as John Cresto scoops up that ground ball in foul territory, and we'll do it again.
I'm surprised John Cresto fielded that ball with a mind to throw to a base. Usually, if a fielder is going to field it at all, and again, I'm surprised he fielded it because it was clearly going foul, but if a fielder is going to field it at all, he whips it back into foul territory to ensure that it stays foul, which is a totally legal play. Cresto fielded that as though he had a plan to throw to a base, and that would have been a really tough out to get at any base because it was hit so slowly.
And Lynn, despite being a catcher, does have pretty good legs. Fortunately, it is just a foul ball. Bases loaded for Bourne, 4-4 tie. Again, infield in here in the 7th. As Sugar kicks and deals the 1-2. Swung on and chopped again to the left side. Fielded by Sugar, who cannot come up with that ground ball. The runner at third, Triolo, races home and scores. Should be a well-placed infield single off the bat of Lynn. As Sugar may not have really had a play, even if he had come up with that grounder cleanly. It's 5-4 Bourne here in the 7th. Bases still loaded, and Grant Witherspoon coming up.
So this inning now has seen an infield single, a bunt pop out, a hit by pitch, a walk, and another infield single to drive in a run. Hasn't even been a ball that's left the infield yet, and Bourne's taken the lead.
Sounds like Bourne Braves baseball. First pitch in a Witherspoon fastball taken inside, 1-0.
That was just a swinging bunt off the bat of Lyle Lynn there. And like you said, it was just perfectly placed where no one could get to it.
Infield remains in for Cotuit. You got to think that any infielder is going to come home with a ground ball. The 1-0 saws off Witherspoon to the second baseman Alexander, who does come home. And Dillard scoops up a bad throw from Alexander. Fortunately for Cotuit to retire Jamison Hanna, a force out at home. So now 2 outs. Every runner moves up 90 feet. Palacios, or rather Radzewicz to third. Lynn to second, and now Grant Witherspoon to first. Nice pitch that time from Chase Sugar. And now the batter Logan McCray from the right side. Bases loaded in a 5-4 game. Infield in pays off for Mike Roberts. Now the infield back out to normal depth and positioning. As McCray looks at a first pitch changeup that misses low in the dirt. Good block by Dillard. It's 1-0. 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for Bourne. 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Cotuit. We might not get to 9 today, so this is a very important rally for the Bourne Braves here in the 7th. The 1-0 chopped foul down the third base line. 1-1 now on Logan McCray.
I don't think we're getting to 9 today, Will, so I think your point is well taken.
McCray 0 for 3. And it's 7-13 right now. And the only sunshine on the field on the right side of the field. The rest of the left side, the central area of the diamond, in the shadows right now with the sun rapidly setting. It sets about an hour from now as McCray steps out before the 1-1. But we learned on opening night last Thursday against Falmouth that really becomes unplayable around 30 minutes before the sunset, which would make things unplayable right around 7:40, 7:45. We're in the top of the 7th now. Here's the 1-1 from Sugar. A fastball swung and chopped to Cone at short, who flips to Alexander covering at second for the 3rd out of the inning. So a fine job out of the bullpen by Chase Sugar. He gives up a run. It's charged to Scott, of course, but it could have been a lot worse for the Kettleers in the 7th inning. Bourne gets 1. They leave 3. And after 6.5 innings of play from beautiful Lowell Park, it's 5-4 Bourne over Cotuit on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back at Lowell Park, top of the order, due up for Cotuit as the Kettleers will try to mount a rally against Daniel Bees, the 6'7" righty out of Gonzaga, out for inning number 3. Will Greer, Matt Rigby alongside you. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday evening from Lowell Park. A back and forth ball game. Cotuit up 2-0 early, then Bourne up 4-2. Kettleers tied it up in the next half inning at 4-4, but Bourne has just rallied for 1 in their half of the 7th as Griffin Conine stands in and fouls a first pitch fastball from Bees out of play down the left field line. Conine 1 for 2, a walk, a double play, as well as a single. Matt profiled earlier on in the broadcast that coming in, Conine had only grounded into 2 groundouts all summer. He's now grounded into just 3 in now 5+ games as the 0-1 misses outside, 1-1. Conine now 10 for 22 at the plate. That's in the top 5 average-wise in the entire Cape League. 1-1 fouled out of play. A good fastball from Bees. A souvenir for a lucky child down the left field line. And the count at a ball and 2 strikes on the Cotuit leadoff man. Ginesta on deck. He's 0 for 3. Alexander in the hole. He's 1 for 3. As Bees comes set, kicks and delivers a 1-2 that misses just outside at 77 miles an hour. Seen that called strike 3, Matt, all afternoon long, but that pitch dropped by the catcher Lyle Lynn, and perhaps that's why Mark Lima unwilling to ring up Griffin Conine.
Or maybe Conine's just earned that reputation at the plate already.
Sure. Superstars don't get rung up too often, huh? The 2-2 from Bees, a fastball swung and grounded to the first baseman Brickhouse, who retreats and gloves, and now wins the race to the bag. ECU over Duke that time. 1 gone here in the 7th for Ginesta. Fans, we want to remind you that Healthcare. Urgent care is now available at 4 Cape Cod Healthcare locations: Hyannis, Falmouth, Sandwich, and Harwich. Open after hours and weekends, staffed by ER physicians. Expert care when you need it. Learn more at capecodhealth.org/urgent care. Ginesta the batter from the left side. The center fielder again 0 for 3 so far today. Looks at a good first pitch curveball, 71 miles an hour on the outer half for strike 1. Ginesta flew out in the first, popped up in the 3rd, and grounded into a fielder's choice in the 4th. Here's the 0-1 from Bees. It's a fastball that misses low. Gloved by Lynn, and it's 1-1. Since their 2-run rally back in the 3rd, Cotuit with just 2 base hits. Their last 3+ innings at the plate. The 1-1, make it 4. Line into right field for a 1-out single. Ginesta takes a wide turn at first, but he's not going anywhere as the right fielder Witherspoon gets that ball back in. Nice piece of hitting for Ginesta, who picks up his second base knock in as many nights, and he's at first as the tying run for Luke Alexander here in the 7th. Alexander, who did not play last night, 1 for 3 tonight. Couple runs, however. He's played a nice defensive glove. First at 3rd base, then he moved over to 2nd in the 5th inning of this one. First pitch from Bees, a big rip and a miss. 88-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 0-1. Still getting to know Luke Alexander. Has just a handful of at-bats so far this summer. He was late arriving with his college team, Mississippi State, making a run in the NCAA tournament. All the way to the Super Regional round as Bees steps off. Has some words with his first baseman Brickhouse, but now steps back on. The 6'7" lanky righty kicks and delivers an 0-1 breaking ball that never quite broke, taken up and in. 1-1 the count on Alexander. Luke hit in the bottom of the lineup for the majority of the season for Mississippi State, anywhere from the 6th spot to the 9 hole, but then finished the season not playing too often for Mississippi State. The 1-1 taken outside, 2-1. Guy that drew interest from LSU as well as Ole Miss out of high school. And I have here, Matt, that he refuses to step on the foul line chalk.
I saw that as well.
Mark Lima calls time and wipes off the home plate area.
I mentioned earlier that he's a Mississippian through and through. His entire family was Mississippi State Bulldogs from what I read. Wait for this pitch to finish.
The 2-1 swung on and popped up back behind home plate. Lynn back. Does he have a play? No, he doesn't. He reaches out of room, reaches his glove up a couple feet off of the chain link. Lynn still having to look at that foul ball. He wanted that one, but alas, it is a foul ball. 2-2 on Alexander.
And apparently another one of the reasons that Alexander chose to go to Mississippi State is that he had played with a bunch of other kids who chose to go to Mississippi State along with him his entire life. They had all played travel ball together. A lot of them were up on the Cape last year. Tristan Barlow won. Jake Mangum won. He just got drafted last week. So it was really fitting right into where he'd always played.
The 2-2 cue to the shortstop LaBounty, who's up with it. Flips to Brown at second for one. On to first, a double play. So Alexander swung at an inside fastball that time, and he was jammed all the way. Ginesta out at second. Alexander out on his way to first, and Bees through the 7th inning cleanly. We're through 7 innings of play from Lowell Park. Bourne still leading Cotuit 5-4 on the Cotuit Kettleers video network. Back in Cotuit, 5-4 score. Bourne over the Cotuit Kettleers is Chase Sugar back for inning number 2. And here to take you the rest of the way, my broadcast partner, Matt Rigby.
Thank you very much, Will Greer. 5-4, as you mentioned, Bourne leads Cotuit. Bourne Braves take that lead on the strength of 1 run in their most recent inning, the top half of the second. 5 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Bravos. 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Kettles, if we're continuing the nickname trend. Chase Sugar back on the mound. First pitch of inning number 8 is smoked foul up the first baseline by Turner Brown, and it's 0-1. Brown, Brickhouse, Triolo. 6, 7, 8, switch hitter, and a lefty, and a righty. ECU, Houston. All Conference USA. Long pause before the 0-1 pitch, as the Bourne first base coach, who we're told rotates every single night. That's the way Harvey Shapiro works, I suppose. Had to go fetch that foul ball. No ball boy doing the task there. That's completed, and now the 0-1. Swung on and lifted towards the right side, and that'll get through underneath the glove of the first baseman, Big Ross, sent into right field for a leadoff single. So once again, a Cotuit pitcher will have to navigate around a leadoff base runner. Tab this up real quick, but I believe that is the 5th. It is indeed the 5th inning out of 8 now that Bourne has put the leadoff man on. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this. What night is it, Will? Help me out. Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday.
Woo! On this Tuesday night, June 20th, in the Cape Cod League. First pitch first. And that's a strike on the outside corner to Brickhouse, 0-1. Brewsters clawed their way back, slowly but surely. Not quite all the way back yet. They now trail Yarmouth Dennis by just 3, 7-4. I was going to say Y to D. Boy. Gonna get it back on the rails, Will. The 0-1 to Brickhouse. Swung on and lifted towards the right side, and that gets through for a base hit. So 2 singles to start the 8th inning. And now the Braves have the table set as that ball got away on the cutoff throw. No one backing it up, and the runner at second, Brown, moves up another 90 feet to third. So there's the first error of the night for the Kettleers, just after we praised them for the great defense they've played both tonight and throughout the season. And now the Braves really have the table set with the runners on the corners and nobody out for Jared Triolo. Chatham's on top of Hyannis at Veterans Field. Nick Patton with an RBI single in the bottom of the first to make it 1-0 Anglers as he stays hot. Cape League's leading hitter entering play tonight. Falmouth and Harwich playing the back end of a home-and-home. That's at White House Field. As Sugar uses what I suppose is a patented move for him, a bluff to third and a bluff to first without a throw, and now steps back onto the mound. Falmouth beat Harwich last night 10-9 at White House Field. As another throw over. Another bluff throw over. It was a wild one. He was actually at Gov Fuller Field last night in Falmouth. Game was 7-7 entering the ninth inning. As the first pitch finally over to Triolo is a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. Harwich pushed across 2 in the top of the ninth, but then Marty Bakina hit a 3-run walk-off home run for the Commodores in the bottom of the ninth to beat Harwich. Tonight at White House Field, as this time the throw over is actually made by Sugar, but back standing at first is Brickhouse. It's 3-2 Commodores in the bottom of the second. Both teams scoring their runs in the first inning. The 0-1, that pitch misses low, and it's 1-1. Falmouth just 2-4. Harwich just 2-3-1. Only other game taking place in the Cape League so far tonight. Wareham and Orleans are scoreless in the bottom of the first at Eldridge Park. 1-1 pitch misses up and in to Triolo, and it's 2-1. The field now almost entirely enveloped in shade. The 2-1 misses low, 3 balls and 1 strike. There's just a little cubby in the right field corner that still has some sun in it. Griffin Conine, the Cotuit right fielder, is standing in the shade, which should tell you exactly how much sun there is left. The 3-1, big rip and a miss, and it's full, 3-2. I say that because if Bourne scores at all here in the top of the 8th, and if they make this a long inning that ultimately leads to larger than a 1-run lead, it could be tough for Cotuit to catch back up in the bottom of the 8th. 3-2, big rip and a miss. Sugar gets a strikeout when he needs it of Triolo. And he's 1/3 of the way out of the jam as Drew LeBounty comes up. LeBounty on the night so far, 0 for 2. Walked his first time up and scored back in the third. That was the third Bourne run of the game, as 3 came home on a Grant Witherspoon 3-run double. Infield comes in, the first pitch to LeBounty. That's a fastball, breaking ball rather, for a strike, 0-1. The other 2 plate appearances for LeBounty. Flew out to right in the 4th. And while attempting to sacrifice in the 7th, popped out to the pitcher Adam Scott on a nice play. Squares to bunt again here, gets it down up the first base line, but it'll go foul as Begras picks it up and holds it in his glove. It's 0-2. A little bit of a safety squeeze there from Bourne. Not the least intelligent play from Harvey Shapiro. In a 1-run game with sunlight shrinking here at Lowell Park. Anyway, LeBounty back in. 0-2 the count. Infield still in. We'll see if the third baseman Cresto charges here. LeBounty doesn't bunt. Nobody charges. And he takes the pitch up high, 1-2. Runner at third is Brown. Runner at first is Brickhouse. Pair of ECU Pirates on the base pass. Now the 1-2. That misses inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 92 miles an hour there from Chase Sugart. Now the flip side of the coin, if you're Cotuit, you can get out of this inning. You got to figure you'd ride some momentum, having escaped a big jam. Going to the bottom of the 8th with a chance to tie or take the lead. 2-2 to LeBounty. Check swing and it's foul up the first base side. Perhaps more importantly, when you look at that flip side of the coin for the Kettleers, they have the heart of the order due up as well. 4, 5, and 6. And the middleman in that 4, 5, and 6, Zach Cohn, is 3 for 3 with 3 driven in tonight. 2-2. LeBounty swings and misses. Runner goes at first. Thomas Dillard holds the ball in his glove. No throw down to second, as it will be a successful stolen base for Brickhouse. But now 2 away for Chase Sugart as he gets a pair of huge strikeouts. And he's now got just 1 out left to get out of this jam and keep the game at 1 run.
As Dillard trots out to chat with Sugart, you got to ask you, Matt, do you buy the whole momentum thing with Bourne having 2 runners on the corners, nobody out in the 8th, and Cotuit perhaps coming up to bat in the next half inning for the last time in this ball game? Do you buy that Cotuit's going to have some extra momentum, maybe mount a rally and tie or win this game?
I got to be honest with you, Will. I don't even think momentum exists in sports, so no. I think I was looking for something to say. Fair enough.
Yeah, sure. You don't think momentum exists in sports,
I mean,
though?
it's a thing.
It's a conversation for the ride home tonight.
It's a thing, obviously. Momentum can be, I guess, identified, but I don't think that it can be a causation for things, if that makes sense.
So if a team goes on a 32-0 run in basketball,
they have momentum, but it's not because something else happened, is my point. Like, momentum exists. You can identify it, but I don't think that one thing leads to momentum, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We still have a talking point for our ride home this evening. Mike Roberts just intentionally walked Jamison Hanna, by the way, and you can see that the Major League rule has made its way up to Cape Cod because Cotuit just had to point Hanna over to first base.
I was highly anticipatory of our first intentional walk. It's kind of surprising to me that it took us 6 games to get one because I was unclear as to whether or not there would indeed be pitches thrown or the batter would be allowed to just trot down to first base. I had heard some conflicting reports, largely because this league is in part sponsored by Major League Baseball, but also because at the college level, they still have to throw the pitches, at least for now. So anyway, as you mentioned, Hanna trots down to first, intentionally walked. Digging in now is the pinch hitter, Grant Williams, and before he we'll look at a first pitch from Sugart. We're going to get a trip to the mound from Thomas Dillard. So Dillard and Sugart shuffle the deck. Now that conference is over. And everyone resumes their posts for perhaps the biggest at-bat of the game so far. Williams lifts the thing open. For this young for out number 3. Chase Sugart works around runners on the corners with nobody out. He keeps the score right where it was when he started the inning. The Braves squander an opportunity as they pick up 2 hits. They get an intentional walk, no errors, and they leave them loaded. We'll move to the bottom of the 8th. Kettleers looking to get the bats going, down by 1 on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Back here at Lowell Park in Cotuit, where we're about to identify whether or not momentum is actually caused or if it's just identified, Will Greer. We're going to get this debate at least started from a settlement standpoint here in the bottom of the 8th, because Chase Sugart did just what I speculated he needed to do. He pitched out of a first and third nobody out jam in the top of the 8th to keep the score 5-4 Bourne. And now with the 4, 5, and 6 hitters due up for Cotuit in the bottom of the 6th, including Zach Cohn, who's already 3 for 3 with 3 runs driven in, the Kettleers are looking to mount a rally. John Cresto will start things off for Cotuit. Cresto 1 for 3. Singled and scored in the first, reached via an error in the third and scored, and then flew out to right back in the 5th. New pitcher for the Bourne Braves. I suppose he functions as the setup man, does Christian Ryder. Although you could argue he functions as the closer in what could be a sun-shortened game, as the first pitch to Cresto is over for a strike, 0-1. He actually swung at that, did Cresto, 0-1. New pitcher again, Christian Ryder out of the University of Georgia. 6'5" righty. Stands 195 pounds, just finished his freshman year in Athens. Cresto waits on a breaking ball, swings at the 0-1, lifts it to straightaway left. Moving over to his left is McCray, and he squeezes it for the first out.
Looked like a breaking ball that kind of hung up in the zone that time from Ryder, but Cresto was just off of it. It looks like he wants that pitch back as he makes his way back to the Cotuit dugout. That could have been the one to hit in this inning. Cresto perhaps swinging for the fences, trying to tie things up here in the 8th.
Got the foot down, just didn't look like he timed it quite exactly right. As Zach Cohn stands in now and takes another breaking ball for a strike on the inner half. This season in Athens, Ryder made 2 starts, pitched in 12 games overall, 0-2 record. As Cohn spoils the 0-1 foul, it's 0-2. 6.86 ERA, 15 strikeouts, 7 walks in 19 2/3 innings. But this is the most glaring stat for Christian Ryder this year at Georgia. 5 home runs allowed in only 19 2/3 innings. In a 1-run game, might not be the guy you want on the mound. The 0-2 swung and lifted straightaway left center towards the gap. Moving over McCray, moving over also Hanna. It falls in between them and stops on the warning track. Cohn with some speed round second, now digging for third, and he slides in safely without a relay throw. Zach Cohn with his 4th hit of the ball game, the first one that goes for extra bases. He's got a 1-out triple, and the Kettleers are 90 feet away from tying things up, with Miles Lewis coming to the batter's box.
Like another hanging breaking ball that time, Matt, from Ryder. And I'll be the first to admit, didn't watch too many Georgia Bulldogs baseball games this season. But I'd imagine those 5 home runs you mentioned, Matt, were most of the time given up on that hanging breaking ball. It's a pitch that just isn't really breaking for Ryder out there. He's left it up in the zone, and now Cotuit with a very good chance to tie this ball game up. This game could be tie-bound. I don't know if we're going to play a 9th today. I really don't.
So here's Miles Lewis. Perhaps hitting with a chance to tie then, Will. The first pitch, chopped towards first. Brickhouse is up with it, looks the runner Cohn back, takes it all the way to the bag himself. And there are 2 away. Runner stays put. 1 pitch for Miles Lewis, and he fails to bring the runner home. As now there are 2 away, and the Bourne Braves defense can back up along the infield with a pinch hitter coming to the plate for Cotuit. It's Brett Kinnaman. And now Harvey Shapiro is going to pop out of the dugout.
Slowest walk out to the mound in the Cape League, Matt. Can't say it enough.
And you got to figure he's going to go fetch the lefty. No, he's going to go get a righty out of the pen. As a new pitcher is going to come into Bourne for what could well be, Will, the final out of this ball game. We'll step aside and come back with info on the new pitcher, see if Brett Kinnaman can come through and tie things up. 5-4 Braves on the Cotuit Kettleers Radio Network. Zach Mort is the new pitcher for Bourne. He wears number 37 on his back, and if his name sounds familiar, that's because during the first Cotuit victory of the season back on opening night last Wednesday at Doran Park, Zach Mort took the loss. Mort pitched an inning and 2/3 in that 5-3 Cotuit victory. He gave up 2 hits, 2 runs. They were both earned, struck out 3, and walked 1. He'll face Brett Kinnaman in a huge high-leverage spot here in the bottom of the 8th, nursing a 1-run lead. And that tying run, Zach Cohn, is standing just 90 feet away at third base with 2 outs. 5 runs on 9 hits, 1 error for Bourne. 4 runs on 9 hits, 1 error for Cotuit. Matt Rigby and Will Greer with you here on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Glad you stuck around for what has been a good one here from Lowell Park tonight. One of our first really, really competitive games throughout the entire season. Mort comes set. The first pitch to Kinnaman. Fastball that misses low at 92, and it's 1-0. Third baseman near Cone at the bag, Triolo, is playing in a little bit. Middle infield defense pretty deep along the infield grass, and the first baseman Brickhouse at normal depth. Mort with the 1-0, and that misses up and away to Kinnaman. 2 balls and no strikes. There's an 81-mile-an-hour lollipop curve that didn't quite break. And now Kinnaman has this at-bat in his hands. 2 balls and no strikes. First base is open if Mort wants to be careful. The 2-0. That misses just low, 3-0. Problem with that is he could potentially put the winning run. I say winning run because sunlight is dwindling here at Lowell Park. And even if it's not the winning run, you could potentially put the go-ahead run on base, which you obviously do not want to do. The problem with that, whether Mort wants to or not, he's in a 3-0 hole. Checks on Cone, comes set, the 3-0. That is over for a strike on the inside corner at the knees. Kinnaman taking all the way, and it's 3-1.
And of course, Cotuit forfeited the DH earlier on in this one, so Christian Demby is in the on-deck circle to hit for the Kettleers. Maybe that would further the logic that you might just want to put Kinnaman on. Demby capable, but he's a pitcher by trade at college.
The 3-1. Kinnaman knocks it foul off the home plate umpire Mark Lima's mask. And Mort works his way back in the count. It's full. That's a really, really good point, Will. Of course, it might become moot if Mort can just go ahead and get Kinnaman here. But again, 3-2, first base open. Pitcher by trade in the on-deck circle. Point is, if you're Zach Mort, don't give Brett Kinnaman anything to hit. Kinnaman with a slightly open stance. Dangles the bat. Mort comes set. Now Kinnaman calls for time. Third baseman Triolo is backed up a little bit now with 2 strikes. Guess he doesn't see Zach Cone as a threat. We're all reset in the payoff pitch. That misses low, ball 4. Brett Kinnaman will trot down to first base with a job well done. And his college teammate, another NC State Wolfpack, Christian Demby, will come up in a huge spot with runners on the corners and 2 outs in a 1-run game.
No, we sound like broken records at this point, but with sunlight continuing to dwindle as this inning continues to go on, and Harvey Shapiro perhaps about to make his way out to the mound to make another change. Boy, if that happens, which it looks like it will, it's going to just about cement that this is going to be an 8-inning ball game. It's the slowest walk in the Cape League being fulfilled right now. Shapiro out to get the ball from Mort, and another pitching change. We're only playing 8 tonight, Matt.
I'll break in a second. I want to make an observation first, Will. I'm not exactly sure that Shapiro is going to pull Mort yet. He hasn't taken the ball from Mort. But if he does, why not just intentionally walk Brett Kinnaman? If you know that you're going to put a new pitcher in for the next hitter anyway, and that's likely, as you said, a stall tactic, why not just throw 4 wide, take a couple steps off the mound, and then bring a new pitcher in, the one that you'd rather have face Demby? I guess that question will fall to the wayside because Mort
I jumped the gun big time there.
Mort is going to stay in the game. But it's food for fodder anyway, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good point. It really is.
It's something that we're going to see throughout the season at Lowell Park, so it's definitely worth discussing. Because there is some strategy, like it or not, that comes into this potentially tying scenario that takes place almost on a nightly basis here in Cotuit. So now it's Demby. Mort comes set. Checks the runner at third, exhales in the pitch. Demby swings, breaks his bat, pops it up just outside the infield, moving over the shortstop Labounty. He gloves it one step into the outfield to retire the side and get the Braves out of the bottom of the 8th. Cotuit does not score, although they got a one-out triple from Zach Cohn. They also get a walk. No errors, then they leave men on the corners. It's still 5-4. We'll move to the 9th for now. Kettleers taking the field, and it looks like we might just get one more half inning in. Umpires are discussing, and we'll alert you if anything changes on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Christian Demby, who made the final out of the top half, or bottom half of the 8th rather, is back onto the mound for the first time this year. As we move to the top of the 9th, 5-4, Bourne leads Cotuit. Lyle Lynn leads off, and the first pitch from Demby misses low and in, 89 miles an hour, and it's 1-0. Home plate umpire Mark Lima sheds the mask, takes a slow trot out in front of the plate, and delivers the ball back to Demby. Surprisingly somewhat, we play on here at Lowell Park, with visibility becoming an issue, I would say. And with at least the bottom half of this inning needing to take place for anything to change. Lyle Lynn takes a rip at the 1-0 and misses 1-1. Demby this year as a pitcher at NC State, 7.16 ERA, an 0-2 record. Made 6 appearances and 4 starts, all during midweek games for the Wolfpack. The 1-1, fisted foul off the screen by Lynn, and it's 1-2. Gave up 18 hits in 16 1/3 innings, did Demby. Struck out 11 and walked 9. Even more concerning, I would guess would be the word. 4 home runs given up in 16 1/3 innings pitched. The 1-2, and Lynn watches it low and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Lyle Lynn so far tonight, 1 for 4 with an infield single that drove in a run in the 7th. Grounded out a couple times and fouled out once. The 2-2 pitch, grounded towards short. Cone circles, gloves it, and throws over to first in time. 1 away.
So many kids down the left field line, just so anxious to get on the field after this one. I think they thought we were about to be done, but we do play on, and I have to imagine it'll be pretty tough for Cotuit to mount a rally just with the current conditions on the field. Sun sets in just about 20 minutes. It's increasingly dark with every second that passes.
Grant Witherspoon the batter now, and he takes the first pitch strike on the outer half at 91 from Demby. So Demby can rush it up there. Certainly has the velocity. And now the 0-1. That misses low and outside at a 91 one more time. It's 1-1. Again, we'll be back here tomorrow night. Harwich Mariners come to town for the first of 2 times this year. First pitch 5 p.m. as always from Lowell Park. The 1-1. That misses low. 2 balls and a strike. 91 again on that fastball from Demby. Again, Demby pinch hit in what was the pitcher's spot for Cotuit. Yes, you heard right, the pitcher spot. As the 2-1's lifted towards straightaway left center. Moving over is Lewis. Also is Genista. Lewis steps in front of Genista and makes the catch for out number 2. Cotuit forfeited their designated hitter earlier in this game when Akeo Thomas came out. Still don't have any official word on Akeo Thomas. I suppose that makes some sense. No one's going to pop up here to the press box and let us know. But it was rather suspicious, as Adam Scott actually took an at-bat in this game and watched 5 pitches before he struck out. Didn't offer at any of them. First pitch to Logan McRae, swung on and popped up right behind the screen. Dillard sheds the mask, comes back our way, but it'll land just to our left here at the Lowell Park press box, and it's 0-1. Anyway, that pitcher spot in the order came up in the most crucial time of the entire ball game for the Kettleers, with 2 on and 2 out, and Cotuit down by 1 in the bottom half of the 8th. And Christian Demby, who was pinch hitting, swung at the first pitch he saw, broke his bat, and popped out to short. The 0-1. Good breaking ball from Demby. First one of those we've seen. 78 miles an hour, and it's over for a strike, as it's quickly 0-2 to McRae.
Must be tough to break in at NC State. Demby looks like a really talented pitcher out there, but only had 6 appearances all season for the Wolfpack.
The 0-2. Spoiled foul towards the right side.
You wonder, a guy like Demby, I'm sure he's satisfied with his college experience so far. Don't have any other reason to believe otherwise, but if he goes to a school in the CAA like a UNC Wilmington or a William & Mary, he's probably a weekend guy, if not a major component of the bullpen.
Another 0-2. McRae fishes at it. He comes up short. Dillard picks it up, slaps the tag on McRae, who was not running anyway. And Demby works a scoreless and hitless. Top of the 9th. Nothing across for the Bourne Braves in the top of the 9th. We'll move to the bottom of the 9th. Cotuit needs 1 on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. It's a thing, but like that's what you believe. See, I don't buy that part of it. I just think it's the hot hand theory. It's just like me going on a run in blackjack. It's just what happens. That could be something that I would buy a little bit more than like one shooter makes a shot and another one makes a shot. I will buy the defensive part. You know who Bill Barnwell is? He writes for ESPN. He's their main NFL writer. He goes crazy on Twitter all the time. Anytime an announcer mentions momentum, he has this whole thing about how it's not a thing, and he'll just bitch about it for like an hour. Ryan Steltner, Ohio State. Ryan Feltner on for the save for the Bravos. Feltner pitched one scoreless inning on opening night against the Kettleers. It was a hitless inning as well, no walks and no strikeouts. He's a righty who plays his college ball at the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. From Hudson, Ohio is Ryan Feltner. And he's appeared in 2 games overall this year, picking up one of 2 Bourne Braves saves. Both the games that Bourne has won coming into tonight have been save situations that they have successfully nailed down. They'll look to do it for a 3rd straight time and pick up their 3rd straight win to move them to 3-1. The 3 due up for the Kettleers as they need just 1 in a 5-4 game. Thomas Dillard leads things off, and he takes a first pitch strike. 0-1. It'll be Dillard, Conine, and Genista. 9-1-2. And a potent combination at that. The 0-1 from Feltner, and there's a fastball for a strike at 94 on the outer half. It's quickly 0-2. Thomas Dillard in a familiar hole. Feltner working quickly. From the windup, the 0-2. Spoiled foul towards the third base side. Dillard was late at a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. And he just missed tucking it inside the third base bag for what probably would have been a leadoff double. Bourne not really playing no doubles on the corners. Not hugging the line anyway. Another 0-2, and that's just on the outside corner. Strike 3. Thomas Dillard is rung up. So Thomas Dillard's struggles at the plate continue. He strikes out for the 11th time this year, 2nd time tonight. And now the Kettleers have just 2 outs to work with Griffin Conine coming to the plate.
Talked about it a couple times throughout the broadcast, but that outside corner has been very generous from Mark Lima all night long. And a generous strike call that time to ring up Dillard.
Conine 1 for 3, single and a walk. Check swing at the first pitch, and it's over for a strike, says Mark Lima. That was a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. Shows you the respect that Griffin Conine has already earned in the Cape League, as Feltner starts him with a breaking ball after going 3 straight fastballs to Dillard. Now the 0-1 to Conine. That's a fastball, and Conine smokes it back through the box for a 1-out single. 98 miles an hour from Feltner, but probably even faster off the bat from Griffin Conine. He catches up to it and dumps it into straightaway center, as the tying run is now at first base for Grayson Genista.
And 98 miles an hour in a pretty dark field right now. Griffin Conine makes that look easy. Just rifled that ball. You said it, Matt. Very appropriately smoked that line drive into center. And something cooking for the Kettleers here in the 9th.
Genista 1 for 4 on the night so far. He singled his last time up. Pulled the ball over the second baseman Brown's head and into right field before he was erased on a Luke Alexander 6-4-3. First pitch, and Genista swings and fouls it off the screen. It's 0-1. That was a changeup from Feltner, 91 miles an hour. At least I'll assume. After a 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Genista. Point is, Ryan Feltner's stuff plays up here. The 0-1. Check swing, and Genista laid off on a breaking ball that sat a little bit upstairs. It's 1-1.
We've seen guys in the majors before. I think Steven Strasburg, one that comes to mind, with an above 90-mile-an-hour changeup.
Noah Syndergaard.
Syndergaard. As long as there's enough separation between the fastball and changeup, it works.
1-1, and that's over for a strike on the outside corner at the belt. It's 1-2. Boy, another Cotuit Kettleer hitter shows his displeasure with Mark Lima's outside corner. But Lima's opinion is all that matters, as now Genesis down to his final strike. Conine without much of a lead at first, the 1-2, and Genista spoils it foul into the Bourne dugout. We'll do it over. So Genista staying alive. Looking to keep the line moving, or perhaps win it himself all with one swing. A guy like Feltner providing the velocity that he is. If you can catch up, you never know how far it'll go. Feltner with the 1-2. Genista swings, knocks it back through the box, underneath the diving Brown's glove and into center field. Conine will move up 90 feet. Grayson Genista with a good piece of two-strike hitting. Picks up the second straight Kettleers single, and there are 2 on with 1 out for Luke Alexander here in the bottom of the 9th.
96 miles an hour that time, Matt. The velocity on the fastball from Feltner, and Genista just kind of poked his bat through the zone. Found some grass, and a rally mounting for Cotuit as the crowd comes alive here in the 9th.
Brief conference on the mound between Lynn, the catcher, Brown, the second baseman, and Feltner, the pitcher. That's now over, and we'll see if Luke Alexander can pick up his first memorable moment as a Kettleer and come through here in a big spot. Alexander so far tonight, 1 for 4, singled and scored in the 3rd. Feltner checks on Conine, the kick and the pitch. Alexander fishes at a 93-mile-an-hour fastball and comes up short. It's 0-1. Good speed at second in Conine. Should have ball reached the outfield. Great speed at first in Genista. Should have ball reached the gap or go down the line. Feltner gets the sign. Now comes set. The 0-1 to Alexander. Sits high. 1 ball and 1 strike. 79 on that breaking ball from Feltner. And it just didn't quite dip enough, as Alexander shows a good eye to run the count back square. Infield shaded towards the pull side a little bit. Brown playing towards the bag at second. First baseman behind Genista, the 1-1. Chopped towards third, could be 2. Third baseman up with it. Triolo to second for 1, on to first in time. No hold, though, at first base by Brickhouse. And Alexander is safe as he lives to tell the tale. Boy, that could have been around the horn, 5-4 to 3. But the relay throw from Brown to Brickhouse was a little bit low, and it skipped into Spencer Brickhouse. He couldn't quite hold it in his glove. And now John Cresto will look to pick his teammate Alexander up and come through to tie the ball game. Second straight inning now that the Kettleers are going to have the tying run 90 feet away ultimately. And we'll see if, unlike in the 8th, they can push one across and perhaps earn a tie or maybe even eventually a win. Harvey Shapiro's out of the dugout. He might be arguing a visibility issue, and I guess that could be understandable with Brickhouse fumbling that ball at first, but this conversation's a little bit too long, I think, for that. Might be something from a game management standpoint that Harvey Shapiro's arguing with Mark Lima. And now we're going to get a conference on the mound with the entire Bourne Braves infield as the stall tactics continue for Bourne before Cresto's at bat.
I mean, the only thing this does that I can think of is force John Cresto to hit with a little less sunlight, because we're not going to play a 10th inning in this one. I mean, it's either going to be a win for Cotuit, a win for Bourne, or a tie. And now I guess you get 30 seconds less sunlight for Cresto. Mission accomplished, Mr. Shapiro.
Anyway, John Cresto now, 1 for 4. Singled and scored in the first, reached via an error and scored in the third. Pair of flyouts since. Up in a huge spot here, looking to come through. The first pitch, and he takes it low. That's a breaking ball at 76 miles an hour that Cresto spits on, and it's 1-0. Cresto with 3 driven in so far this year. He's 4 for 18 so far this season, as the 1-0 is a big rip and a miss at a 94-mile-an-hour high heater. And it's 1-1. Feltner climbed the ladder after staying down with the first pitch breaking ball. And now we'll see if Feltner goes back upstairs, or at least stays with the fastball here in a 1-1 count. Lots of room up the middle for Cresto. First baseman Brickhouse holding Alexander on. The 1-1, big cut and a miss. And it's 1-2. 91 that time from Feltner. Had Cresto fooled, and Cotuit's down to their final strike. Third baseman Triolo playing behind the bag, but as I mentioned, Brickhouse holding Alexander on at first, so if Cresto chooses to, he can shoot one through that right field hole and tie this thing up. He's got to make contact, though. The 1-2. Feltner kicks and fires, and it's spoiled foul by Cresto towards the right side and out of play. Alexander was running on the pitch there. Could have been a little distracting to Cresto, but he caught up to that fastball nonetheless. Obviously don't have to worry about a double play with 2 outs. We'll see if Alexander takes off again here. Problem with that, Brickhouse can then move off the bag and perhaps have a play on a ground ball to the right side. Feltner comes set. Kicks and fires the 1-2. Big miss from John Cresto at an 80 or 99 mile an hour fastball from Ryan Feltner. And the ball game is over. Cotuit threatens for the 2nd consecutive inning, but they ultimately come up short for the 2nd consecutive inning. The Kettleers get a pair of 1-out singles, but they leave 2 stranded on the corners, and they fall tonight to the Bourne Braves by a score of 5-4. 5 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Braves. 4 runs, 11 hits, 1 error for the Kettleers. Ryan Feltner gets the save, and we'll give you the rest of the tidbits that are pertinent to tonight's ball game on the other side of this break as we begin our Cotuit Kettleers post-game show. You've been listening to the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. 5-4. Braves win it in 9. Matt Rigby back with you on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. Bourne beats Cotuit by a score of 5-4 tonight. 5 runs on 9 hits, 1 error for the Braves. 4 runs on 11 hits, 1 error for the Kettleers. Time of the game, 3 hours and 9 minutes. Officially our longest game of the year, surpassing last night's 2 hour and 46 minute contest. And we needed all 3 hours and 9 minutes of this one tonight because the Kettleers had the tying run at third base and the winning run at first base with 1 out, or tying run at second base and the winning run at first base with 1 out. It was eventually first and third with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, but ultimately they could not score, and they fall by the score of 5-4 to the Braves tonight for the first time this year at Lowell Park. Cotuit drops to 4-2. Bourne moves to 3-1. Braves have now won 3 in a row. Kettleers have lost 2 in a row. Bourne creeps to within 1 of Cotuit in the Cape League's West Division. And the Kettleers will have to rebound tomorrow in advance of the Harwich Mariners strolling in to White House Field. Take a look at some of the statistics tonight. Starter for the Bourne Braves, Ronnie Rosamondo, didn't factor into the decision. He went just 2 1/3 innings on the mound, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. Gave up 2 walks and no strikeouts. Sean Leland went an inning and 2/3, gave up a hit, no runs, no earned runs, no walks, and a strikeout. Daniel Bees goes 3 innings, 2 hits, strikes out 3. Zach Mort goes an inning, striking out 2 and allowing 2 hits. And picking up the save is Ryan Feltner as he goes 1 inning and allows 2 hits, but strikes out 1 batter and does not walk any. On the other side for your Cotuit Kettleers, the starter was Jason Billis. He looked good early, but then things fell apart in the third. He gave up 4 runs to the Braves in the third. Ultimately went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits. Those 4 runs that I just mentioned, 2 walks and 1 strikeout. Jace Van Senna pitched an inning and a third scoreless. Adam Scott went 2 1/3 of 1-run ball. He ultimately takes the loss tonight, giving up 2 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Chase Sugart was very good. Pitched an inning and 2/3, gave up 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs, pitched in and out of jam after jam, as the Bourne Braves had pressure on the base paths all night. Christian Denby works a scoreless top of the ninth, striking out 1. Faced the minimum, did Denby, in that top of the ninth, but Denby struggled a little bit at the plate. I don't know if you have enough of a sample size to say struggled, but he only swung at 1 pitch, and it came in a huge spot in the bottom of the 8th with Zach Cohn, the tying run, standing at third base, and Brett Kinnaman, the go-ahead run, standing at first base, and 2 outs in the 8th. Denby pinch hit and what was at the time the pitcher spot as Cotuit forfeited the DH in the middle of this ball game, and Denby broke his back and fisted one just over the shortstop LeBounty's head as LeBounty backed up a little bit with the ball in the air and made the catch to spoil the first of what would eventually be 2 Cotuit rallies in the final 2 innings. Some hitting numbers up and down the Cotuit box score. Nice nights for Griffin Conine and Grayson Jennista, the table setters once again. They go 2 for 4 and 2 for 5 respectively. Walk for Conine. No driven in for either of those two, however. Luke Alexander 1 for 5. John Cresto 1 for 5. Miles Lewis 0 for 4. He had a tough night at the plate. Couldn't get Cone in from third with 1 out in that bottom of the 8th for Cotuit. Thomas Dillard, 2 more strikeouts to give him 11 on the year. He leads the Cape League. Does pick up a single in tonight's game, though, and goes 1 for 4. And the biggest player of the night for Zach Cone, or for Cotuit at the dish, was Zach Cone. I guess I gave it away with that misspeak. He went 4 for 4. Picked up a triple and 3 singles and drove in 3 runs. We'll step aside, and Will Greer will have What We Learned Tonight presented by Curry College on the other side of this break. You've been listening to the Cotuit Kettleers post-game show on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network.
Back at beautiful Lowell Park, the sun has officially set in Cotuit, Massachusetts. It set 2 minutes ago, 8:19 on the East Coast. And now we give you what we learned tonight, presented by Curry College. First, the final score, of course, Bourne over Cotuit, 5-4 in 9 innings. And now it's time for what we learned tonight. Again, presented by our friends at Curry. Matt, we learned, number one, that a witherspoon of sugar makes the runners go around. Bourne's right fielder Grant doubled in 3 Braves in the top of the 4th off of Jason Billis, who had retired 2 outs with the bases loaded, then gave up the bases-clearing 3-run double to Witherspoon. That ended Billis's night. It catapulted the Braves into a 4-2 lead in the 4th inning of this one. Matt, we also learned that Bourne's winning pitcher was absolutely the bee's knees. Gonzaga's 6'7" Daniel Bees tossed 3 shutout, 3-hit innings en route to his first win of the summer, stifling Cotuit bats with a well-located fastball and a top-notch off-speed pitch. We also learned that Zach Cohn played like a motivated man on a mission tonight. Now guess the Cotuit shortstop was told before the game, "You, Cohn, do it," before his 4-for-4 night, which included a double and a triple. I'll stop, I promise, soon. Cohn is now 10 for 19 on the summer. That's a scolding .526 average. And lastly, Matt, we learned that the lid was mighty close to coming off for the Kettleers, as it has in the first couple games of the summer, which were usually victories for Cotuit. But tonight, Cotuit had men on the corners in the 8th and 9th innings, but Bourne relievers were able to close the pot, close out the game as well, as Bourne improves to 3-1 on the season, and they dealt Cotuit their second consecutive loss. The Kettleers now 4-2 on this young 2017 summer. That was what we learned tonight, and it's of course presented by Curry College. Curry offers 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams in sports such as football, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, cross country, and, if you'll believe it, volleyball. Read about the success of the Curry Colonels and their championship teams. It's all online at curry.edu. We'll pause one more time here on the Cotuit Kettleers post-game show. Again, the final score tonight, Bourne 5, Cotuit 4, as we'll come back in a moment to wrap it up from Lowell Park on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network.
Matt Rigby and Will Greer back on the Cotuit Kettleers Video Network. It's the Cotuit Kettleers post-game show. Final segment, we promise, after a 5-4 Bourne Braves victory here at Lowell Park tonight, to drop the Kettleers to 4-2 and hand the Kettleers their second consecutive loss. Let's take a look one final time at the out-of-town scoreboard across the Cape Cod Baseball League. The Brewster Whitecaps came all the way back on the YD Red Sox in a wild one at Red Wilson Field tonight. YD jumped out to a huge lead in that one. They were in fact up 7-1 on Brewster, but those old, scrappy, power-hitting, come back on you, no lead is safe at any time Brewster Whitecaps put up 3 in the 4th and 3 more in the top of the 8th to tie things up at 7. That game ultimately ends in a tie at Red Wilson Field because sunlight became an issue there, as they also have no lights, same as us here at Lowell Park. And so YD now on the season moves to 3-1-1, and Brewster moves to 2-2-1. At White House Field on the back end of a home-and-home, Falmouth leads Harwich 4-2 in the top of the 7th. 5 of the 6 combined runs so far at White House Field tonight were scored in the first inning between those two teams. Falmouth added 1 in the 5th, and the Commodores are looking to hand Harwich their second consecutive loss. Falmouth all of a sudden will now 3-4 on the year if they can pick that win up or hold on at White House Field. I guess a little premature, but if they can hold on, they'd be 3-4 as they look to climb their way out of an early cellar. And Harwich, if they continue to lose, would fall to 2-4-1 before they come to Lowell Park tomorrow for the first time this year. Top of the 6th, Hyannis did tie things up. Ryan Olenek had a game-tying RBI single for the Harbor Hawks. 1-1. Harbor Hawks and Anglers knotted up at Veterans Field. And then the only other game taking place across the Cape right now, Orleans continuing to struggle to score runs at home. But the good news is tonight so far they haven't given up a run either. They lead Wareham 1-0 on the strength of a good Logan Gilbert start for the Firebirds.
Let's talk starting pitching matchup for tomorrow's game here at Lowell Park. I was about to say White House Field with the Harwich Mariners coming in. It goes like this. Chris Gow, the righty out of Jacksonville, Florida, attends Jacksonville University conveniently enough. The Dolphin just finished up his sophomore season, made 13 starts, had a 3.96 ERA, and he was the opening night guy for Harwich, went 5 innings last Wednesday against YD, gave up 2 runs, both earned, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So Gow, the 6'2" righty, going for Harwich, and for the Cotuit Kettleers, Dylan King, the strikeout machine out of Belmont University, will be making his second start of the summer. King started last Thursday in the home opener against Falmouth, went 4 innings, gave up just 2 hits, struck out 7. He was pulled from that game after 4 innings of absolutely awesome pitching for King. He is on an innings limit, we do understand, so he probably can't go more than 4 or 5 tomorrow, but he is a strikeouts machine, and if you have any hesitancy about coming out to Lowell Park for the game tomorrow afternoon, you should definitely come to, at the very least, see Dylan King do his thing against the Harwich Mariners tomorrow afternoon.
All right, Will, thank you very much. One final time, the line score across reads as follows. 5 runs on 9 hits, 1 error, and 6 left for the Bourne Braves. Cotuit picks up 4 runs on 11 hits, 1 error, and the Kettleers ultimately leave 9 men on base in a frustrating night at the plate. Time of the game, one more time, 3 hours and 9 minutes, and one final time, the winning pitcher, Dylan Bees, the losing pitcher, Adam Scott, and Ryan Feltner picks up his second save of the 2017 season to move into the CCBL lead. On behalf of Will Greer, my broadcast partner, and on behalf of all the fine production people and everyone else associated with the Cotuit Kettleers organization who did a great job tonight here at Lowell Park, I'm Matt Rigby signing off one more time. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night around 4:40 from Lowell Park one more time as the Harwich Mariners take the trip from White House Field over to Lowell Park for the first time this year. Have a good night, everybody.